great conditions are great, although it is slippery. It was raining about an hour ago. Now that could counteract against the Crows' intent on playing fast attacking footy. And as you mentioned, more concern with them. They're down a defender with Ken McGregor out. They're saying it's not concussion but a mild hamstring strain. Of course, that is music to Lee Matthews' ears. He's keen, as he told me before the game, on letting loose young Roger Merritt, aka Daniel Merritt, and seeing how he teams up with Jonathan Brown in the forward line.
Roger's made a return. Great to see the big man back out there, my former skipper. But from the point of view of how they set up, we've talked during the week about whether they're Brown-centric, how the Lions and how, I guess, the Crows set up down back.
I would love to see Neil Craig, Chris, just encourage and put his best players in the middle of the ground. Attack, you're at home, let's take some risks. Get a number back or a couple of blokes back to support against Jonathan Brown, but back yourselves in.
I'm sure you'll see him do that tonight. He was criticised pretty heavily during the week about his use of his players, and maybe he's always tried to encourage what he calls his backbone or second tier group to get hold of the footy and play a midfield role. Tonight it's about his leadership group. Big shootout in the middle. Rashudo, Goodwin, Edwards and McLeod need to be the players that get the footy tonight.
Yes, the big names for the Crows up against the big names for the Lions, who, as we touched on at the start of the evening, have been questioned about their passion.
And Ben Rutten, head down, but walking towards Jonathan Brown. So that looks like the match-up. Yep, it is Ben Rutten to Jonathan Brown.
But interesting, they've got Merritt in the goal square. So the two big men for the Lions deep in their forward line. And there's Mal Michael going back to Nathan Bock, who's starting up forward for the Adelaide Crows. We're underway for round 8 in this sellout crowd. And Jason Ackermanis for the Lions getting the first disposal. Off to his captain in Michael Voss. Spreading it wide, Brad Scott on the end of it. Well, ran himself into trouble. Can't get past the Birdman. Just gets his kick in time. Going back, though, is Doughty. Tawney, here's some run for the Crows. Rashudo got it from Rutten. Heads to the opposite wing. Thompson in the race for the ball for the Crows. Now goes back to give Bassett some time. Gee, he needed it too as McGrath closed quickly. High ball. Well marked by Goodwin. Half forward flank. Oh, not his best kick. Perry, Thompson, working hard early. Just sliding the ball over the boundary line and a boundary throw in first up.
Well, a couple of surprises from Neil Craig, Nathan. Box starts inside attacking, 15 more known as a defender. Andrew McLeod again at half-back. We saw him there last week with Aaron Davey. Back to half-back again tonight for Andrew McLeod.
Scott Thompson, career-high 25 possessions against his old side, the Demons, last week. Coming in hard, Voss, you'd expect that from the skipper. Quick kick comes out towards the boundary line. Rashudo, will he keep it in? Yes, he does. Gets a good shepherd from Matner. Off a couple of steps, long ball towards Perry, they'll fly. Big pack, ball hits the ground. Black, here comes Perry. Black, happy to see it. Out of bounds, we'll have another throw in. Deep in the forward 50 for the Adelaide Crows.
Not a bad spot too for the Crows. Love the ball inside their attacking 50 from boundary throw-ins. Will certainly back themselves into score from this position. Simon Goodwin, watch him running onto his left foot.
Robert Shirley picking up his opposite number 12, Jason Ackermanis. He's been in terrific form for Brisbane. Hudson with some strength, kick smothered, power, intended for the boundary line. Rashudo, he's been busy early. Will he bring it back? It's a coming back too much. It's a fist on the ball. Ackermanis leads in the race, and again, we'll have a throw in. No score, early stages, first quarter. Benches for Brisbane, Selwood, Pike, Moody and Adcock. The veteran with three youngsters there, Martin Pike. Hudson got a hand on the ball. Ackermanis dispossessed. Plenty of numbers around the ball. Lappin ties the ball up. We'll have a bounce. Scott Thompson starting to find some good form for the Adelaide Crows. Hudson again got his hands to the ball first. Ackermanis dispossessed. Shirley doing a good job early. Ball comes out. The Crows. Thompson needed to be clean there. Goes backwards. Doughty got a handball out. Bock might have spent it before he got it. Goes backwards. A lot of possessions here, the Crows. They need to convert. Hart, the veteran, off a step towards the square in front. Perry got his hands to it. Couldn't take the mark. Burton, Ackermanis, got the ball heading forward only as far as Edwards. Stayed in. He was out. Welsh on his hands and knees. Good pressure. Drummond in his first game, and Powell sees the ball out of bounds.
Pretty good start too from Adelaide. Just need to hunt the footy. Neil Craig been on their back all week about playing some open attacking style of footy. Expect a shootout tonight at AAMI Stadium.
They have opened well though, Adelaide. And their first quarters have been good this year. They've only lost the one. Shirley attacking the football. McLaren, little quick give to Power. No one to kick to. Brings Black into the game, and he steps around Hudson that can't get the kick past the very effective Martin Matner.
Never seen Simon Black have a game where he hasn't kicked a goal, hasn't had a kick before, Matty, but last week,
yes, he had a kick, but he kicked it. He ran over the boundary line before he kicked it. The umpire said, no, that's going to be a boundary throw-in, so not a good night. This is Edwards. In some space, and he gets the call from Rutten, who attacks nicely. Out in front, good kick to Perry. Lepic just does enough. Copeland in there, so too Doughty. Now Chris Johnson comes in, gets out of trouble. Copeland got a call out wide from Scott. That's Brad Scott, and his kick just 15 metres, landing on the chest of Nigel Lappin. Short pass out to Sherman, who's been a good find for the Lions. Notting. Now they go forward for the first time, looking for Brown, coming out and meeting it well. Bassett. Chance for McGrath. He gets a shepherd from Chris Scott. McGrath around the corner, not a bad kick. It's a goal. Lions kick the first, and that is a confidence booster for Ash McGrath. Well, so often we see the ball up 150 for so long. First entry for the Lions is a goal.
Yeah, 5 minutes into the first quarter, it's been all the Crows, and all of a sudden they get the ball inside 50 Brisbane for the first time. And again, the advantage they've always had over the Adelaide Footy Club is their strong bodies at ground level. Some good shepherding off the play. Ashley McGrath picks up the ball and kicks the first goal and silences the crowd. Scotty Thompson comes from the ground early. Luke Jericho with some leg speed on.
Ashley McGrath with his first goal for the evening. He's kicked 5 so far in 2005. So Brisbane with the opening score. Hudson. Ackermanis. Surely there to apply the pressure. Lappin in heavy traffic goes short to the goal scorer in McGrath. And go out wide to Scott. Brad on this occasion. Look out, Edwards closing. Has support and power. Wants to get onto that left boot. Scott had pushed forward. He's got some time now. The Lions can go inside 50. This is an important kick towards his brother. Hart there to put pressure on him. And the ball out of bounds for a throw-in.
A couple of concerns for Adelaide have got to be Andrew McLeod. He's on Ashley McGrath, coming off a half-back flank. Gives them some run, but can also be scored against. So that will need to be watched. Andrew McLeod will provide some drive, but he doesn't have that, just that defensive action that's natural.
Hudson was in the best spot. Sherman roves it nicely. Ackermanis off the ground. In towards the hot spot for the Lions. Brown did well at ground level. Hooks it round the body. Be hoping for a miracle. Doesn't get it. Out of bounds on the full. Let's head down to Tiffany Cherry.
Already an injury concern for Adelaide. Scott Thompson's just come off. He's dislocated the little finger on his left hand. He's gone down the race. They're trying to put it back in. They can't get it back in.
Thanks, Tiff. Ben Hart to kick in for the Lions. The game's record holder for Adelaide. To a contest, Brown and Rutten. Voss was over the top of Rashudo, and the umpire saw a push, but that umpire being Martin Ellis. And so the captain's involved, and the Adelaide captain will take the free kick.
This is what Neil Craig's been talking about with Adelaide, just too slow to move the ball off from half-back.
Not his best kick, and he is such a wonderfully skilled player. He turned that over to Lappin, to Black, was looking for Notting. Oh, gee, that's great work from Doughty. That was strong. He had to beat 2 or 3. He holds it in there and did well. Matner came in to help him out late. Short pass, the sliding Perry. Back through the middle. They've got some run here. Shirley wants some support. Called the play on. Now he gets it. Backpedaling. Rashudo going wide. Breaking for him. McLeod. Lead into the pocket for Bock. And Michael didn't really score. That seemed to come off Bock's chest over the boundary line. We'll have a throw in again.
It's certainly a bit better though from Adelaide, moving the ball up the corridor. Neil Craig will be looking for that to happen more often than not. And some great courage from Michael Doughty. Missed last week with the flu. Straight back into half-back and straight back into the action.
1 goal to Brisbane. The Crows yet to score. McLaren only as far as Rashudo. Voss there to put some pressure on his opposing captain. To Skipworth. Off a step. High ball now. Tackle for Perry. Copeland met heavily with a good Perry tackle. Edwards slides in. Plenty of players around the ball, one of which is Justin Lepage, who's happy to dive over the ball, tied up and will have a bounce.
The commitment from both teams has been terrific when the ball's at ground level.
Which you'd expect, because it's an important game for both sides. Hudson had a second attempt, make that a third.
Through.
High ball now, Edwards around the corner. Makes its way out of bounds, we'll have a throw in. Chris, when they're spending so much time, like Matty said before, they've got to start putting some scoreboard pressure on the Crows.
That's what you're right. It happened last week too against Melbourne. First 11, 12 minutes was all Adelaide. Couldn't get a score on the scoreboard. When they did, it was a point. Got to get some value for their touches.
Two young, fine ruckmen with long careers ahead of them, McLaren and Hudson, going at it. Shirley met heavily by Drummond. Well, young man there, not afraid to throw his weight around. We'll have a bounce.
That's where Adelaide have got to stand up tonight. They've got to be able to match Brisbane in the physical stakes. It's cost them in their past matches. They've got to stand up there tonight.
McLaren wins that knock. Burton off the ground, into the goal square box, stands his ground, couldn't take it. Perry almost, still alive for the Crows. Edwards, just a slight fumble. Paddles it back towards Scott Welsh. He, in turn, paddles it back to Bock. Adelaide trying to find someone with some space. They found Hayden Skipworth. He just lobs it on the chest of Lepage. And the Lions will clear through Power, trying to draw the man. Little chip over the top. Loves the short kick, Luke Power. And Chris Johnson is in some space. It is a little bit slippery. Have to be careful bouncing. Ackermanis will give it back to Johnson. No. Sides the kick. It's a poor one. The error was forced. Brown for the Lions. Give on the up to Notting. Great tackle from Bassett. Voss quick to push it forward. It heads to the square.
Free kick.
Whistle. Free kick, Chris Scott. The crowd will tell you how they feel about it. Ben Hart's pointing to the scoreboard, so have a look at the replay.
The crowd are never happy here at Amy Stadium when a free kick's paid against their beloved Crows, but it was certainly there. The initial contact was high. Wasn't a lot in it, but it was there. And made to look a little bit worse. But once again, Adelaide, with all the play inside attacking 50, again they can't score. The questions over their forward structure remain. Brisbane inside 50 for one of the few times, and another goal results.
He's an important player now for the Lions, Chris Scott. Didn't kick a goal last week. He gets this one. Last week, had 4 shots on goal, 3 behinds and 1 out in the full, after kicking 8 goals the previous 2 weeks. If they're going to have Brown up forward, they need someone else to kick goals, and he's their man.
He certainly is. Gets the lucky free kick, Ben Hart. The initial contact is high. The Crows fans don't like it. Brisbane get the first 2 goals. Adelaide have had so much of the play. Once again, their forward structure will be questioned. Inefficient inside 50, and Brisbane make them pay.
The Brisbane Lions, 2 straight goals. The Adelaide Crows yet to score. They've had plenty of ball, plenty of possession, the Crows, but as we've mentioned, yet to put the score on the board. Black on his hands and knees. Hudson follows up some good work. Goodwin. High ball now around the corner. Perry to contest. Lepage with the spoil. Skipworth didn't have a left boot on that occasion. Neither did Edwards. One at the right. Got it to Skipworth. Important kick off a step. Won't make the distance. Scotty Welsh flies high. Drummond. Was it a mark? Play on's the call. We'll have a bounce. Top of the goal square. Forward 50 for the Adelaide Crows.
Your point about Hayden Skipworth was right. Swatter doesn't have a great left foot. Just wasn't confident inside 50. Opportunity missed.
Michael came over the top. Got the ball towards Ackermanis. Hurriedly around the corner. Outside defensive 50. The Crows with the numbers. One of which is the skipper, Mark Rasciuto, coming up for possession number 8.
Yeah, great start by the skipper. And bangs it in long. Bock coming. Drifting through McLaren. Chance for Adelaide here. Skipworth didn't take it. Gee, the tackling by the Crows is good. It spills to Lap, and he's just wrapped up by a swarm of Crows. Welsh, Edwards, quick give, Skipworth this time. Hooks it too far. They're on the board after all that effort, Chris.
Plenty of effort. Ball handling obviously difficult tonight. A little bit of dew here at Amy Stadium. The ball can become very slippery. Plenty of pressure early too. Hayden Skipworth having a fantastic season. Knows where the goals are. Developing into a very, very handy player as Michael Voss comes from the ground. But the Crows need a goal. The crowd sense it. The players sense it. They need a settler.
This is Power. Hugging the boundary. I want to be a very good kick. It's a poor kick. It's a low percentage kick in the first place. And Matner will take the free. He can just go laterally and does. Umpire says he's got to come back. And he'll come back and then he'll do exactly the same thing. A different player, but same result.
Smart move, always give it to the captain.
He's going to get it back here, and in fact can go. Can get towards 50. From 55, heads to the top of the square, perhaps a little bit too far out. Burton doesn't think so, neither does Edwards. Tyson Edwards got a call from the man running by. Doughty, caught. Handball's clear. Adelaide still trying, but Michael, call under pressure. Drummond puts Scott under pressure. And Scott gets the free kick. Drummond finally getting a possession after being involved a few times.
Yeah, clumsy attack on the ball from Michael Doughty. Just hit him high. Free kick was there.
Brad Scott's been busy early. And goes a long way across the left pitch. Now he has a player further ahead, so they've opened up the loose man. It's Copeland. He's got a paddock to run into. Just for a second, I think he thought someone was coming. Copeland, long ball. Merritt, the target. Oh, didn't take it. Crows with numbers. Rutten gave it to Biglands, and Biglands heads for Welsh, and Welsh gets it.
Did well, Scott Welsh. Had to stand his ground. Riley's just come on the ground now. Goodwin gives him the hurry on. He can afford to have a bounce. Second, he opts not to. He goes long now towards Bock. They're just blazing away haphazardly here, Adelaide. Entries inside 50 could be a little bit smarter, lower the vision, and Bock sees the ball out of bounds with a Leppich tackle. So we have a look at, well, we say this nearly every time we see Jonathan Brown. The courage this man possesses, well, on that occasion he did pull up, but nonetheless he got cleaned up by young Merritt.
Roger Merritt was steaming out trying to kill him.
A.K.A. Daniel. Throw in. Forward 50 for the Crows. Yet to score a goal. Riley, handball, intercepted by Lappin. Always seem to have composure inside heavy traffic. High ball though. Well, Biglands got his hands on something he should have taken. Second attempt, kick partly smothered by Ackermanis. Loose ball. Lappin again. We gathered that last possession. Riley lunges late, couldn't get his hands on the ball. McLeod. Do they need this man to provide a spark? Yes, they do. Goes short towards Edwards. Important kick coming up for the Crows. Gives it back to McLeod now. Onto the left side of the body. Steers it towards Perry. Can he take the mark? Yes, he can on the third attempt. Hard work of it, Chris, but they got it in there.
Yeah, it took a bit of class from Tyson Edwards and Andrew McLeod, but finally they find Ian Perry. Looms as the danger man for Adelaide up forward. No, Justin Leppich will give him plenty of space to move into. Andrew McLeod on the left foot. Ian Perry makes hard work of it, but takes the mark. What he does make hard work of, Ian Perry, is having shots for goal when he's not confident. Didn't have the kicking boot on last week, finds plenty of the ball, but he can spray him on occasions. The Crows desperate for a goal. 16 minutes into the first quarter, had plenty of the ball, nothing to show for it.
2 goals, 3 last week against the Demons. This for the first, but not on this occasion.
It breaks your heart. Ian Perry does so much good work for this footy club, developing quite nicely at centre half forward. Got so much to offer. Can't put it beyond doubt. Good players kick those goals more often than not. Unfortunately for Ian Perry, he misses more often than not.
Inside 50s, 9-4. Crows with 2 behinds for all that work. The Lions 2 goals for their 4 entries. That's a pretty good return. This is Drummond making his debut. To Power. Measures it to Lappin. Through a bit of traffic. Likes to play on. Goes wide and McLaren. Now Copeland's breaking for him. Lovely work on the mark though by Burton. He's pinched about 3 metres. McLaren's not sure what to do. Kicks it into him. Well done by Burton. Brad Scott trying to hack it out of the air. Selwood underneath that. Crowd screaming for a free kick. And we'll have a ball up. Nathan Bock to come from the ground. Hudson will replace him. Simon Goodwin getting up. Umpires tonight, Camelins, Ellis and Morris. And Biglands winning it. Is headed for Shirley, but Biglands goes again by himself. High ball. 3 on 2. Michael comes to the big 2-fisted spoil, but Adelaide have the numbers. Matner, no one in the goal square. Hudson's run straight onto the ground. Almost a set play. If you believe that, you believe anything. Diving through goes Michael. Hudson was almost happy birthday. Just runs on the ground. The ball's coming straight to him.
Well, no surprise to see Neil Craig throw Ben Hudson up forward. Maybe not his best area below his knees, but can take a mark above his head. Kicked the goal last week, gives a bit of variation for the Crows up forward. Not at his best on that occasion.
Let's just say he was beaten by the flight and give him the benefit of the doubt, Chris.
Yes.
Skipworth, tight on the boundary line, centering ball. Understatement to say the Crows need a mark there. Loose ball, Welsh. Couldn't evade the black tackle. Edwards got rid of power. Gave it straight up to Simon Black. For the moment, Brisbane out of trouble. Towards Brown. Diving attempt. Couldn't take the mark. Good work, young Rutten. Again, they go inside 50, the Crows. It's a wobbling kick. On this occasion, Hudson had to spoil Michael. Michael wanted the free kick. Power seeks the safety of the boundary line, and we'll have a throw in as Mel Michael gingerly gets up off the ground.
Yeah, great work from Ben Rutten again. He won't be intimidated by Jonathan Brown. Takes him on, and what he is very clean with his skills, very good below his knees for a big fella. Takes the ball clean, he bangs it inside 50 for the Crows.
Young Daniel Merritt up against Rhett Biglands in the ruck. Adelaide have been terrific in this area. Shirley was looking for Rashudo. Nodding. Didn't take it. Rashudo goes again. Merritt slapped it back. Selwood. Ackermanis lurking. He's going to pick up a possession after all that and keeps it in. It's a pretty clever kick. Great positioning by Rutten. Got to the front and wins the free kick. It's been a great start by Rutten.
Does well too, Ben Rutten, because he's not afraid to play in front. Not too many people would with Jonathan Brown. Ben Rutten will back himself and also back his hands in a marking contest.
McLeod, stop-start, chipping over towards Edwards, and Edwards just, I think he was just in two minds. He's thinking, where am I going? Am I going left, going right? And just didn't take it, and just having a bit of a feel of it, saying this is what I should have done. What do you love?
You'd make a good coach.
Yeah, I just think of the same thing.
Coach. I'd love to play under you. Biglands with strength, straight down the throat of Simon Black. Goes inside 50. McLaren slipped as the ball came in. Bassett's got some time. He's got some support if he wants to go short to Burton, and that's where he heads. For the moment, the Crows out of trouble. Heads up the line. Tawny's broke. Sherman in for shoot. Jericho wanted it short. Again, as we've seen for this entire first quarter, the Crows happy to go long, which suits Brisbane defenders. Johnson. Support there by Copeland. Got a foot on the ball to Ackermanis. He's had a good first quarter. Off to Leppich. And the Lions are away this time. The ball ends up with Adcock.
Fine kick from Leppich. Adcock spins on a dime and plays on. Rutten, great spoil. He's been set the challenge of one of the key forwards, and he's loving it. A ball in. 7 metres around from the Lions' goal. Just over 5 minutes remaining. 10-point margin. And goals have been hard to come by. Even though we've had no rain, it is still a bit slippery from some this afternoon. Rashudo, 10th disposal for the quarter. Spinning up the line. And we'll have another ball in.
Yeah, no surprise to see Mark Rashudo with plenty of the footy in the midfield. He's got 10, Edwards with 8. Hayden Skipworth a surprise inside 50 with 9 touches as well. For Brisbane, Ackermanis 7, Power and Lappin both half a dozen.
Biglands with their first. He's over the top now. Wants a free kick, doesn't get it. And McLaren's gone off for the Lions. Moody's come on, so they're playing smaller up forward now.
Certainly are. Adelaide doing some great work around the clearances too. Ball ups, 5-0 advantage over Brisbane.
Goodwin threw it out. Rashudo with strength. So too Edwards. Over the top Selwood, and Jason Tawney looks up, finds an umpire. We'll have another ball up. Important time. It's only a low-scoring game, but Adelaide just need to get some reward for all this hard work. Edwards. Round the body. Perry leading Leppich to the ball. Trying to turn him inside out. Drummond right with Jericho. Lappin. Did well to force it forward, but Adelaide have 3-on-1 here coming out. Brown.
Oh.
Great courage from Burton. Back to Rutten. Switch of play is good. McLeod. Just held up for the moment. Now, he'll go back to where it just came from. This time it's Tawney, who does kick the ball a long way. Out in front of Edwards, but not his best kick. Power dropped it. Edwards gets it back. Power's second effort to force the tackle. Forces the ball over the boundary line. Just under 4 minutes remaining, still just the 2 goals.
Yeah, certainly they continue to blame Adelaide's forward line for their inability. Brett Burton, great courage, taking on Jonathan Brown and winning on that occasion. Ben Rutten with the mopping up. Adelaide still finding it difficult to move that ball from half back. That is their problem.
Life-threatening situation, Brett Burton, but nonetheless did what he had to do. Good tackle, power on Edwards. Merritt slapped the ball forward towards Black it was. Goodwin couldn't keep his feet. Ball spills free. Burton ran into his own teammate. And we'll have a throw in. 10 points the margin, 3.5 minutes remaining in the first quarter.
Yeah, not pretty out there. Ball handling obviously extremely difficult. Robert Shirley with the big job on Jason Ackermanis. Ackermanis 7 touches nearing quarter time.
Biglands against Merritt. Rashudo. He's had an outstanding first quarter. Edwards ridden into the ground by Power. Ball still in there. Umpire's prepared to let it go. And spills out. Goodwin. Off the ground, only as far as Lappin. Handball intended for Power. Did well on the half volley and the second attempt. Has support there, Chris Bradscott it was. They haven't cleared it just yet, the Brisbane Lions. Edwards. High ball now. They'll contest in front of the goals. Welsh got his hands on it, couldn't take the mark. Michael with strength, comes back inboard to Black. Handballs over the top to Johnson. They look for a free man, they've got one. This time it's Mel Michael, all the way from full back. Has time to have a bounce. Now goes long towards the square. Scott there in front. No, it wasn't on that occasion, it was Bassett. Read it better, took a good mark and relieves the pressure for the Crows.
Having a good year, Nathan Bassett, off that last line of defence. Sure hands.
Bassett out to Skipworth. Gee, what a paddock he's got. And he's got time to just paddle it along. McLeod into some space. That's a good sign for the Crows. The kick is a beauty. Scotty Welsh has got it. Now, can Adelaide get their first goal?
And finally some rebound and some run off half-back. We've been looking for it. Andrew McLeod, the key, hits his target too, running forward. The use of the ball from the Crows hasn't been good so far tonight in difficult conditions. But the champ breaks the lines. And a good sign for Scotty Welsh too. On the burst, clean hands. He too, like Ian Perry, been in different form in front of the goals this year. When he's confident he would nail this, and fair to say the Crows just need one.
12 goals, 8 for the season. Scott Welsh from 40 metres. The crowd rise. The umpire likes it, and so does Scott. It's taken a while. It's taken 25.5 minutes. But they've got a goal. And isn't Tyson Edwards having a day out? He's had 14 disposals.
That's a day out in anybody's language. Rashudo's had 10 and Skipworth 10 as well. But Andrew McLeod, the use of the ball is going to be the key tonight in difficult conditions. McLeod finds space and hits the open target inside 50. Great sign for Scott Welsh. Clear mark. Great shot at goal, and the Crows get a much-needed goal.
4 points the margin. And a pat on the head for his good work from Rhett Biglands there, Scotty Welsh. But that's the first time, Chris, we've seen the Crows go long and keep the ball low into an open forward line.
Yeah, just a percentage footy, and Scotty Welsh, a great mark and early goal. He needs that for his confidence.
Hudson had to wait and did exceptionally well. Got it to Riley. The Crows go inside 50 towards Welsh again. Could he take it on the second attempt? Not on this occasion. Rebound out towards Ackermanis. Matner couldn't get there in time. Centering ball finds Brad Scott. Closing late was Burton. Gives it back to Ackermanis, who has Voss in the middle of the ground. He comes to the near side of the ground. He's got Copeland. Sherman's even wider. He ignores that and goes back into the middle of the ground to find Lepich. Has some time now. Justin Lepich will bang it long. It's a wobbly looking kick. Straight down the throat of Ben Hudson, who'd got back into defensive 50.
It was a mongrel as Rutten finds Perry. Minute remaining first term. Measured kick was a good one in the end, and it's a real chance here for Adelaide because Rashudo's on the burst. Straight up the guts. Can the Crows hit the front just before quarter time? Tyson Edwards, 15th disposal.
Too slow again.
He's on world record pace. High ball. Oh, geez, it's all the Lions. McLaren went up and came down with a footy. It's kicked to a 3-on-1 contest.
It will not please Neil Craig at all. That's what he's talked about during the week, playing safe footy. Tyson Edwards had to take and break. They had ownership of the corridor, just far too slow on that occasion.
Lepich falls over. He's going to need a hand here. Got the shepherd from Selwood. The Lions not out of trouble yet. Moody ran his fair distance. Brad Scott trying to step Riley. That's not easy. Slippery ball for Moody.
Gone.
Rashudo gone, holding the ball. The clock will beat the Roo as he gives it over to Doughty. Adelaide have dominated the game. except for one place, and that's on the scoreboard. At quarter time, after their lowest first quarter for the season, the Crows find themselves trailing 2 goals to the Lions. Adelaide 1-2. It's a 4-point margin. Rashudo's worked hard. Edwards has worked hard. The Crows have had 20 more disposals. They've kept that man quiet. We'll take a break from Amy Stadium. The Lions lead by 4 points.
Seven, 7. It's a sellout crowd at Amy Stadium, and the crowd will be pretty happy with the amount of football Adelaide are getting, but unfortunately they trail by 4 points. The Brisbane Lions leading with goals to McGrath and Scott. Welsh the only goal kicker for the Crows. Look at that quarter for Edwards, 15 disposals. Rashudo's been great. Some of the big names coming to the top for the Lions. Perhaps only Ackermanis really having a lot of penetration on some of those kicks. As we look at the stats for the quarter, Chris, the one that really does draw us the attention is at the bottom, the inside 50s, 18-7, 18 for 1 goal too.
Never been in trouble for Adelaide getting the ball inside 50. It's been converting inside there. Scott Welsh was our only goal scorer, but their use of the ball deplorable so far tonight. They've got to start using it better.
Let's head down to the boundary. Here's Tiffany Cherry.
No injury concerns for the Lions, but for the Crows, as we mentioned, Scott Thompson came off with a dislocated little finger in his left hand. They've strapped it up. They've got it back in. They said he will be right to come back on, but he's on the bench at the moment. Neil Craig then just saying to his guys, take risks and look inside for the handball. Just have the courage to take them on.
Thanks, Tiff. We just saw some vision of Scott. Looks like it's a splint already. Looks like a break.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. Would be surprised to see him come back on the ground. Rhett Bigland's up forward for the Crows. Neil Craig just looking for the right mix inside 50. They need to convert with the amount of ball they're getting there. Rhett Bigland's is a favour of Neil Craig working from inside 50.
Set to go for the second term. Just 5 scoring shots in the match. Hudson.
Been doing some good work again. They've been very good around the ground, especially too for the Crows. They've won the clearances around the ground, an area of domination for them in the first quarter. Brisbane need to make a move now in this second quarter. They lead on the scoreboard, but at ground level, it is Adelaide dominant.
Bounce favouring Hudson to just leap over the top. Black couldn't quite gain possession. Gets a free kick for a leg. Pops up with the footy. Goes out wider to Notting, who if he gets onto it can kick a long way, but sometimes it doesn't go in the right direction. High ball, big leap over the top, Ben Hart. Great to see the veteran back playing. A lot of problems with his hamstrings, as we know. This is Doughty. Getting some help out wide from Tawney. Crows running well. Getting on his own, Matner once again. Wants to get onto his left. Got past Notting, got the 70 metres out, wobbles it forward, not his best kick. Skipworth forced to punch, ball at ground level. Power arrives first for the Lions. Gave it to Lepich. Missed Drummond. Steadies up, left footer, not a good kick. It's going to come straight back because he's kicked it to Doughty. Hands it off to Hudson, who is standing waiting. Burton thought about McLeod, short pass. Terrible kick, it's a turnover. And what will the Lions do as they come out through? Power is going to give it up. Well, Hart spoiled it, and luckily for the Lions, it falls into the arms of Copeland. They're not out of trouble yet. McLaren caught. Oh. Going through hard. Underneath all that was Goodwin. Moody. Back through to Black. Lappin. Brad Scott. Merritt wants it. Hudson gets into the hole. Merritt comes. Crummers. That's Shirley. Little give on the up. Tap forward. Hit forward by Moody. Sherman got his kick. It's going to spill wide. It's going to go over the boundary line. Another ball in.
Again, hot footy tonight. Slippery conditions at ground level. And Benny Hart giving that hamstring a decent test, and that is vintage B. Hart.
Yes, a sight that will please no doubt every Crows fan here at Amy Stadium. Hudson in his way to the front position to Rutten. Goes back to his skipper. What a first quarter he had. Heads out to Ben Hart. Oh, he's everywhere at the moment. He's flying high. He's getting himself into some space. Kick towards Skipworth. Had some time. McLeod waits. Surveys the options. One of those which is Goodwin. He's undecided. Comes back inboard to Henschel. They're not out of trouble yet. He goes back to Hart. Now the veteran decides to go long. Skipworth had pushed forward to the ball. Lepich was closing. Handball over the top towards Perry. Evades two Brisbane tacklers. Goes back out to Doughty. High ball now towards the forward pocket. Welsh got himself into a good position. Couldn't take the mark. Burton, was he held? No.
Yes.
Yes. It's a very tight angle for Brett Burton. Looks inboard. Early stages of the second quarter. No addition to the quarter time score. 4 points the margin in favour of Brisbane. A lot of numbers back now. You'd think, Chris, he'd have to go back and have a shot.
Yeah, he certainly he loves playing on from his set shots, does Brett Burton. Tough angle at the moment. Got to have a ping from there now.
There's the angle. Brett Burton. It's a nice looking kick off the boot. across the face of goal. Big ones couldn't take the mark. First score for the quarter. It's a behind to Adelaide.
Started the second quarter off as they finished the first. Adelaide full of running, plenty of ball inside 50. Again, it's all about ball use and some speed off half-back for the Crows tonight. Brisbane just appear to be lacking that run. Again, last week, no run against the Doggies, and they paid the ultimate price. Again, leg speed for Brisbane, the issue this evening.
Copeland forced the kick to himself.
Oh.
And that is messy footy. McLaren, the big man, doesn't take it. Chance here for Burton. From one side to the other, kicks it into the crowd.
Roll the highlight reel.
That was terrific, wasn't it? We'll just start again. We've pressed pause. Rewind. And
Erase.
play. Umpire agrees with us. Johnson, high ball, McLaren and Henschel. Henschel over the top. Plays the percentages.
Something about this ground. The Kangaroos had a rather forgetful game last year, I think it might have been, where the scores were very low at half-time. I think one goal to 2 goals.
Don't start. We've got plenty of time left in this quarter. There'll be a run of goals any minute now. It's coming. Ackermanis building it forward. McGrath. Just a little fumble. Now, Powell just a little let it hit his feet there. He was trying to get it forward. Scooped off the ground. Black. Threw it out. Somehow Powell kept going. That's a clever handball. Got the call from Lappin. It's quick gives all around. Sherman. Back through the middle. McGrath on his own. Takes the mark. We'll go back and have a shot. Good footy by the Lions. Wasn't pretty, but they just kept it going in the right direction, even though it was a bit slippery.
Yeah, not much they've done tonight's been pretty. Again, as we've said, bit of dew on the deck, ball handling difficult, but just kept on knocking the ball forward with momentum. Luke Power finally throws one out.
Little
with
gives.
courage, as always.
The last one was...
Sherman hits the target, just sees McGrath drop off McLeod. That's where Andrew McLeod gets caught, wants to attack when he should maybe defend. McGrath drops off and a chance to kick his second.
Well, they've been hard to come by. That's a wonderful shot of what is ahead of Ashley McGrath.
Oh.
Ew! Off the boot, it wasn't good, but it came back left to right, and he's got 2. You were prepared to give it up straight away off the boot?
I tossed it in straight away. No faith me.
I think I agreed with you off the boot, but he managed to get something on it. Here's a little gift from Black. That's trademark Black.
And again, we've seen Brisbane on a couple of occasions been able to take the ball from one end of the ground to the other, maybe doing it a little bit better than Adelaide. Just some poise from Sherman on that occasion. Brisbane's first mark inside 50 for the match. It's not Jonathan Brown, it's Ashley McGrath, and he kicks his second.
Brisbane opened up the first quarter with the first 2 goals. They've started the second quarter in the same fashion with the first goal of this second term. The margin now 9 points. Heavy collision inside that centre circle. There's a whistle on play. And it goes Simon Black's way. Possession, number 11. 3 better than last week's 8. Something we don't often see with Simon Black. Scott goes long towards Merritt. Getting back there with great courage. That's a mark. Thought there might have been a free kick on play, though, to the Adelaide Crows player, which was Brett Burton. But nonetheless, terrific mark from this young man. He'll line up and have a shot at goal.
Daniel Merritt, there's something you've got to like about the way he attacks the footy. Looks a forward player, definitely big, strong body. Holds his ground. Takes the mark. Very, very impressive. And Brisbane, well, so much footy to the Crows, but when Brisbane go forward, they look far more dangerous.
Here's the mark.
Chat.
We talked press play. That was good football all around.
Merritt for Brisbane's second goal. In a couple of minutes, he's got it. It's his second career goal, Daniel Merritt. He celebrates, he's enjoyed it, and importantly, given the conditions and the way the game's being played, Chris, a margin like this, very important.
Yeah, it just gets the Crows on the back foot, and again, where they've had so much of the footy, Neil Craig will start to get worried. And as always, Brisbane very physical. They've always given it to Adelaide in that department. Simon Black getting some footy. But remember the name, Daniel Merritt. That was as good as it gets for a kid. It's a great mark for a young fella, isn't it? Nathan Bassett, no slouch out of defence, doesn't give him an inch. But Daniel Merritt, that's a big, strong body. Get that in the way. No Alistair Lynch. But this boy's going to scare a few in his day.
Pinched a bit of a break here, the Lions. 15-point margin.
We saw McLaren get up high before, trying to do a repeat performance. Goodwin going forward for the Crows. Perry almost the mark. Power to Black, and Black's getting involved pretty heavily here. Goodwin, that's a lovely pickup. That's wonderful skill to Burton. Releases Matner. Goodwin gets it back, hard running. Left Voss standing. Round the corner. Lebbich had to back himself. Perry got the bounce. Skipworth can be dangerous up forward. Rashudo back to Skipworth. Over to Edwards. Now hooking it into the corridor. Henschel there. So too is Biglands. Ackermanis waiting for it. Tapping it to Copeland. Wants the boundary. Hasn't got enough on it. Needs a kind bounce. Gets it.
Adelaide again, just missing that physical presence inside their attacking 50. Rhett Biglands has been tried up there, but he's not making a physical impression on this game now. Michael splits packs. Rhett Biglands, if he's going to play inside 50, has got to put his body to use.
Haven't seen Pike yet, and Chris Scott is now on the bench. Perhaps he was getting some work before, perhaps a hamstring problem. We'll keep an eye on that. Adelaide going forward again. Power, belting it forward. Brown's been well beaten so far by Rutten. Voss, good skill. Releases Ackermanis. He loves to go from here. Hooks it back. 2-on-1. No one took it. Good take though by McGrath. Nodding, runs himself into trouble. Hands it off to Justin Sherman. And Sherman wobbles it through for a goal. Good skills by Voss. Good skills by McGrath.
Well, they're just doing it better, aren't they, Brisbane? When they go forward again, one end of the ground to the other, their ability to run and take risks, him nodding on that occasion, just takes them on. Justin Sherman again providing the hard legs and the hard gutsy running. And danger bells and alarm bells for the Crows now. So much of the footy, so little reward. Brisbane 5 goals on the board. The Crows need an answer, and that's starting in the centre square.
Justin Sherman with his first goal for the evening. There's a season and career tally of 6 goals too.
Brisbane inside 50 only 13 times. They've kicked 5 goals. The Crows inside 50 22 times for the solitary goal.
Well, the Crows with the challenge fairly at their feet now. Hudson, he's doing his part towards Perry. Pushed underneath the ball. Johnson mops up for the moment. Heads towards the boundary line and we'll have a throw in.
I'll continually blame the Adelaide forward line, but the way the ball's coming in is their problem. Plenty of the footy for Adelaide, plenty of ball inside 50, but the use has been poor. Tough night for forwards.
Edwards with 16 possessions, Rashudo 14, Goodwin 12 and Skipworth 11. For Brisbane it's Power with 13, Black with 12, Ackermanis 11 and Lappin 10. Some prominent names there for both sides. And here's another one, Rashudo. Heads towards the forward 50. McLeod, can he keep it in? Yes, he does. Off the ground, bouncing ball towards the pocket. Walsh got a hand to it and out of bounds.
Move's been made. Andrew McLeod onto the ball. He had to move. Spent so much time in half-back and had some moments, but he's got to cause the opposition some heartache, and that's him inside 50 or on the footy, head-to-head with Ackermanis at this stage.
And he's changed with Simon Goodwin now picking up Ash McGrath. Throw in, left forward pocket for the Crows. Biglands. Thought he might have infringed there. Johnson off the ground, gain an extra couple of yards. Brad Scott needs to be clean at his feet. He isn't. Rashudo is though. Towards Burton, hurriedly, bouncing ball. Michael with strength. Just fended him off like it was a schoolyard bully and gets an extra 30 yards, and we'll have another throw in front of the interchange benches.
Pretty appropriate phrase, I would have thought, the schoolyard bully. I mean, now Michael bullies the best of them. Tyson Edwards, no slouch, and 16 touches tonight, along with his skipper Mark Rashudo, getting plenty, but not hurting the opposition.
Over the top came Shirley. Ackermanis is going to be squeezed up against the line, and somehow the line's got out of that. Rutten and Brown. Rutten still on top there, forcing it to ground level. Doughty heading back towards Burton. Clean take by Rutten. Tawney through some traffic round the body. Hudson, over the top came McLaren, and we'll have another ball in. .21 lead, and this is just really tight footy. Little handball from Ackermanis, and then the volleyball slapped down from Black. So the Brownlow medalists combining. Again, it was almost a replay. Shirley coming over the top. This time it finds the line as Riley comes on, Rashudo comes off for a spell.
Yeah, it's the rotation that's got us all guessing at Adelaide. Mark Rashudo, every quarter pretty well comes from the ground. They won't rest him up forward often enough. Takes his spells on the boundary line. Game in the balance. Skipper's got to be on the deck.
McLaren. Over the top came Hudson. This is Shirley. Edwards, not his best kick. Brad Scott comes through. Selwood, just clearing for the Lions. Rutten again, found the best spot. Moody's got some pace. Ben Hart. The kick finds Shirley. It's a good one. To Perry, that's better. Oh, spoke too soon. Perry spilled it. McLaren gets a call from Power, who weaves through the traffic again and kicks it wide. Is it too wide? It just bounces inside the line.
Oh dear, the use of the ball again for Adelaide. Neil Craig working the bench hard. Ian Perry drops one that'll give him nightmares. But their skill level not good enough tonight. That's where the improvement has to come.
And that man there on screen, Neil Craig, he's got his concerns. Ackermanis hurriedly towards centre half forward, bouncing ball. Two Brisbane players, one of which was McGrath, overran the ball, and Hart has a look what's up further afield. One of those is Dowdy. Well, he'd been watching his teammate Ian Perry drop the mark. Skipworth mops it up for a moment. Bassett hurriedly towards half forward. Lepich leads in the race. Fists the ball over the top of Power. Well, he's good enough to get the ball back. Gets onto his favourite left boot and sets Simon Black a task. Nodding. Good tackle, Dowdy. Dispossessed. Play on's the call. Bassett. Brown closing. Has some time. Skipworth. Burton wants it switched. Well, they're not out of trouble yet, Brisbane. That's great pressure. Jonathan Brown, and goes again, the big man. Skipworth. Hurriedly straight down the throat of Simon Black, and Brisbane, again, too much pressure, forcing mistakes from the Adelaide Crows.
So Black now, as we get towards the halfway mark of this second term. The Lions have kicked 3 goals. And that's not Simon Black's best kick either. And that's just inside the line. But Jonathan Brown still really to have any effect on the game whatsoever.
Adelaide are a team that just refuse to go long. They refuse to get the ball and just blast it inside 50. They lack that Jonathan Brown type player who can stand tall at centre half forward, take a contested mark, and it gets ugly at times.
Matner was there first. Black down at the bottom. Riley. It's got to be clean. Rutten, he's been clean all night.
Always is.
He's got great hands. And he's got some presence of mind to attack. Perry was the target. Still going Perry. Second attempt. Forced it back towards Matner. Perry again. Johnson diving in. Selwood on the up. Nodding. Got it from Black. Trying to give it to Ackermanis. Shirley just got a hand in to knock it out. Ackermanis still going. It's not pretty. Possessions are hard fought. They're like gold at the moment if you can get clear and get clean. Shirley still going. Umpire's been terrific tonight. They've just let it go. And finally they come in.
Chris, correct me if I'm wrong. There's one side out there playing with desperation at the moment. And they're not the Adelaide Crows.
No, I think you're fair there. Things are just going wrong for Adelaide at the moment. And they seem to have lost focus at the footy. They need someone to show something.
Dowdy hurriedly out of the pack, but only as far as Power. Play on. Wants to go inside forward 50. Chips the kick towards Brown. Look out with courage, Tawney. Well, I thought he could have won himself a free kick there. The ball goes outside defensive 50. Only as far as Luke Power. He's got Nodding in short. Umpire has to use some evasive tactics. Copeland can load up from inside the square. It's a mongrel kick. Brown got rid of his opponent on this occasion, Rutten. A little bit stiff. He did his best there, but that's just experienced Jonathan Brown. And this for the Brisbane Lions' 4th goal of the second term.
Yeah, your point about Adelaide's right. It's all going sour for them at the moment. The kick forward wasn't great, but I mean, what can you say about Jonathan Brown that hasn't already been said? That is pure class. Nothing wrong with Ben Rutten's positioning, but it is Brisbane mauling Adelaide at the moment.
Yet to kick a goal, Jonathan Brown. On his AFL debut against the Crows, round 5, 2000. The only stat for that afternoon was one handball. For Brisbane's fourth, Jonathan Brown makes no mistake.
Yep, it's getting ugly for Adelaide. Jonathan Brown gets his first. Ben Rutten's been all over him tonight. Certainly been the Crows arguably their best player. But the turnover comes from Adelaide. Their inability to clear their defensive 50. Ultimately, they pay the price. And that's pure class from Jonathan Brown. The ball floating in. He takes the mark. Again, they kick their 6th goal without a blemish, Brisbane. Their class and the cream is rising.
Brown gets his first. The Crows, 24 inside 50s to 17, still with just the 1 goal. It's just unheard of.
Yeah, their turnovers are just killing them tonight. Their refusal to get the ball long, just get some meterage on a difficult night, is killing them.
Big Merritt went up too early. Biglands took it. Merritt came back for the tackle. Black and Power have been very influential in the second term. Notting's got some space. Loves this situation. Low left foot kick, looking for Brown. Tough below the knees, and Ben Hart got back to knock it out. Big Daniel Merritt just taking a couple of big breaths after that collision in the centre circle.
What's the message for Neil Craig at half-time to his charges, Chris?
Well, difficult night tonight. You've just got to go along. I mean, they talked about owning the corridor, talked about playing on at all costs and not finessing. They're over-finessing the ball. I mean, tough conditions like tonight surely get it long and strong inside 50, but their use of the ball at the moment is what's killing Adelaide.
Goodwin got it from Bassett, and Goodwin uses it well in this case to Tawney. Straight up the line. Edwards and Power. Power did well, forced him out of the contest. Back to Brad Scott. To Adcock, off one step. Gee, when he kicked that, I thought he was picking out the Crows player.
I tell you what, though, they're now getting beaten at contested footies, area they've been strong on in the first quarter and a half. It is all going sour for Adelaide. They can't win a ball at ground level. The players who had so much ball in the first quarter, Tyson Edwards has gone quiet. The key players dropping out of the game. Brisbane's midfield getting plenty of it and hurting them.
Well, Moody got it from Adcock, and he kicked 2 goals, his first 2 goals in league footy last week. Burton has a rest, and Thompson comes back. Moody for another goal for the Lions. They've been pretty straight, pretty accurate, and they kick another one. That's 7 straight for the Lions.
Well, it gets uglier and uglier for Adelaide. Luke Power and Simon Black in the engine room for Brisbane doing the damage. Power again on that occasion. Great feet and hand skills. And the target pops up inside 50. And if it's not Jonathan Brown, there are other avenues to goal tonight for Brisbane. Where to for Adelaide? Time for leadership, you've got to think.
Yes, leadership is one of those things you'd expect Neil Craig to implore his leaders to start showing some responsibility and turn things around.
Look at the centre square for Adelaide. Skipworth, Shirley, Riley and Biglands. No leadership there.
Whilst you've got Luke Power and Brad Scott sitting out with no Adelaide Crow player picking them up. High ball towards the Crows half forward. Brisbane seem to have all the numbers at the moment. They're even getting the loose ball breaks. The ball's bouncing their way. We've talked about him. Luke Power can go out wide towards Brad Scott. He'll get a bouncing ball on the half volley. Did well to trap that with Thompson closing late towards Pike. On for his first run this evening. Tawney got a hand in, as did Adcock. We'll have a throw in as we throw down to the boundary line with Tiff Cherry.
Well, Merritt a bit ginger, pardon the pun. He's got a little bit of a cork in the left side of his lower back, but he's okay. And Chris Scott, yeah, is still on the boundary with a slight hamstring strain.
Adelaide under siege. Very rarely go man on man. They don't know how to shut down an opposition. The Western Bulldogs got over them in the third quarter at Telstra Dome. And the Lions tonight, second quarter, all over the Crows. Very little defensive action.
Brad Scott, high ball. Bassett flew, got his hands to it. Brown doing the roving. Moody, the last goal scorer for Brisbane. Bouncing ball, getting back there, did well on that occasion was Matner. Rush behind, but you'd have to say, Chris, half-time cannot come quick enough for the Adelaide Crows.
Oh, you're not wrong there, and it's still a few minutes away yet. It's all Brisbane at this stage. Adelaide just again showing maybe the innocence of youth, not knowing how to shut down, some inexperience that is, not knowing how to shut down the opposition. When the opposition are making a charge, they've kicked back-to-back goals. You've got to be able to shut them down for 5. Adelaide struggled to do that, and it is killing them tonight.
The margin is 34 points as down he finds Skipworth. Still plenty of time for the Crows to do something about this score before half-time. 5.5 minutes remain. 50-metre penalty.
That will help.
Certainly will. Wayne? Against Ash McGrath. So he's been brought up to the centre wing. Dowdy now just chipping out wide. Player on his own. Biglands. Leading well and hitting the target. Bott. Good strong lead and beautiful finish from Biglands. So Bott not too confident about kicking it though. Wants to hand off.
Speaking of leadership, Mark Rasciuto spent the last 5, 6, 7 minutes on the bench. He comes back on the ground 5 minutes to half-time. Captain needs to impose himself on this game. It is slipping out of the Crows' grasp. Nathan Bock with the ball. Distance not a problem. Just doesn't look overly confident. Difficult angle, but he can make the distance.
And he's going to leave it right. So the second behind of the quarter for the Crows as the goal umpire goes down and has a bit of a grin. Just the two behinds. The Lions have kicked 5-1. One of those is rushed. Lions have been very good in front of goal. It's a slippery night here at Amy Stadium. As Mal Michael receives straight up the middle. And that's where he's going to head. And he's very hard to tackle because he's a big unit. Voss, being quiet, gets into the back of Thompson. Free kick. You can see that finger strapped on his right hand from in the first turn. High ball. Big leave over the top. Welsh. No, paid to Drummond in front for the Lions.
Did well there. Scott Welsh appealing for the mark. But the young Brisbane Lion man did extremely well. To another youngster in Adcock. After Scott. Thompson disposes of him, but Brisbane maintain possession. Adcock gets it back from Lappin. The Adelaide Crows with a loose man back there, and that's Henschel. They've got massive concerns, the Crows, but the good thing about it is that there's another hour of football coming after the break. They can turn this around, but they'll certainly have their work cut out. Bassett, along with his other 5 defenders, they've been under siege all night. Heads up the middle to Riley. Can this young man provide some spark? Matner on the stretch, inside the centre square now, up towards Bigland. Set a task and he's up to it. Merritt couldn't affect the spoil. Lays it off to Rasciuto, the man that Chris McDermott spoke about. Over the top, back to Biglands. Can he get around the tackler towards McLeod? Well, they're not going a direct way. They're certainly playing around with the football, the Adelaide Crows. Andrew McLeod has another crack at the football. Short to Riley. That's debatable. Play onto the call. Selwood with the tackle. Rasciuto bangs it onto the boot. Skipworth. He's got Brisbane players all around him. Edwards on his hands and knees. Coming through was Jericho. Still haven't cleared the ball. Lepage just put the head down. Umpires allowing play to carry on. There's a ruck scrimmage as we go down to Tiffany Cherry.
Simon Goodwin's just gone down the race, grabbing his left Achilles. Not good signs for the Crows.
Well, they can't afford to get one of their key players. Now Michael's punched out 50 metres. Good Lord. But the Crows might get it back. No, Lappin for the Lions to Ackermanis. Up forward, Brown wants body contact. Good spoil by Rutten. Wrapped up, Shirley by McGrath. And once again, another ball up.
Yeah, looks a vintage display from Brisbane in the first half tonight. Monstering Adelaide, dominating now at ground level. The Crows got off to a flyer with plenty of the ball. Couldn't get a score on the board. Brisbane have now seized control, and it's where to for Adelaide at the moment. They cannot find a winner.
Well, Bigland's trying hard at the moment. Short ball, just a little bit out of target for Bock. Lepich went off the ground. Notting was looking for Voss and tapped it back, and Power sliding in. Off the ground, Rasciuto. Here's a chance for the Crows. They've got some running numbers here. McLeod in space. Coming through, doing well in the end was Drummond. Got in front of Welsh, who came back to help out. Numbers favouring Brisbane. Copeland gives it back to Drummond. He should be away. Moody, look out. You're gone. Ben Hart holding the ball. Hart plays on quickly. heads to the hot spot. Adelaide, what can they do here? Bock trying to get rid of Lepic. Lepic with a figure four leg lock, trapping the ball underneath. Brilliant work by Lepic with a wrestling hold.
Haven't seen that since Killer Carl Cox in his heyday, Matthew.
That's the tackle by Hard on Moody. Chance for Adelaide. Here we go. Matner. Can they get their first goal of the term? Bock? No, it won't happen.
We'll have a throw in left forward pocket. With Bigland's worried and concerned look on his face. Just under 40 seconds remaining. If they could sneak a goal here, it might just be the spark that they need going into half-time as Martin Pike is replaced by Chris Scott. Hudson. Burton off the ground. McLeod, good skills there to trap the ball, but wearing him closely, Chris Johnson has another crack. Scott Thompson, there's a whistle on play. Thompson's been taken high. Free kick against Chris Johnson. Well, with 20 seconds remaining, Scott Thompson went off early with a finger problem, dislocated or broken. Spent a fair portion of this first half on the bench, but in the context of this great game, Chris, an important kick.
Yeah, fair kick it is. The siren's going to go before he gets a chance to kick it. The free kick was probably there, just got grabbed a little bit high. The siren goes, and boy, do Adelaide need this. They've been pretty good inside 50. Scott Thompson, his time with Adelaide, knows where the goals are. Pressure's on. Everyone counts, and this is an important one for the Crows heading into half-time.
45-degree angle, will kick from just on 50. Starts it out right, it's coming back, but it won't come back enough. And the Adelaide Crows get their third behind for the quarter. It's 1-5-11. They trail Brisbane 7-1-43.
Been a good quarter for the Lions. They've kicked 5 goals, 1. They've been very accurate. More on that at half-time. But we'll take a break from AAMI Stadium. Neil Cray's got plenty to think about. His team has only managed 1 goal to half-time, and the visitors lead by 32 points.
Weather fine, track fancied okay, as soon as the conditions are a little bit... Hard-ass Pakaroon, mate. Hard-ass Pakaroon.
Captain of the Adelaide Crows, you'd be disappointed what you've seen of this team here in Adelaide tonight so far, Chris. It's been slippery, but that hasn't made up for some pretty poor play.
Yeah, no excuses for their use of the ball by foot. Really disappointing. So much of the ball inside 50 for Adelaide, but once again, just not giving their forwards any opportunity, kicking to the ground when big men are up there. They just haven't been smart with their play, and when they've turned the ball over, Brisbane have capitalised.
There's been some moments where they've had plenty of possession and they've had some momentum, but they just haven't capitalised, as you said.
Andrew McLeod off a half-back flank in the first quarter, the only one that broke through the corridor and hit a target. Great news for Scotty Welsh, finally got some good service. But they continue to complain in Adelaide about the forward line structure not being right, but the way the ball comes in has just been disastrous tonight, and the forwards have got no hope. Benny Hart's had some moment.
Good. Yep.
He's been good in the back half, but all their good players have been in the back half, and there have been some errors that I'm sure they won't want to see again.
We're working hard to find some highlights on this highlight reel for Adelaide in the first half. Marty Matner there just missing, and we saw Scott Thompson right on the half-time buzzer not being able to get a goal at the second for the game. And as we look at the rankings now, Rashudo's been good. Edwards has had a lot of the footy. I thought Rutten's been excellent.
I think Rutten's been clearly their best player. Jonathan Brown took a nice mark, kicked the goal, but hasn't, apart from that, had a major influence. Rashudo and Edwards with plenty of the ball, but not much to show for it. I mean, they're getting numbers, but nothing to hurt the opposition. They need some leadership in this second half, and what we've seen with Adelaide so far during the year is that when opposition kick goals against them, they have no immediate defensive action. They don't know how to shut down a run. That really hurt them in the second quarter.
Some rankings numbers on the right there, and when your side's only kicked one goal for the first half, they may as well be Keno numbers. Because
we'll jot them down, will you? Because I can do with it.
Well, we might do something afterwards. We'll take a break from Amy Stadium. We've looked at Adelaide. It's been a pretty poor first half from them. The Lions, we'll look at them after this break. They'll be pretty happy. They've kicked 7 goals already. at the Lions, Chris. I mean, they've been pretty messy and sloppy at times as well, but they've just had a little bit more cream at the top to finish off some of their movements.
Yeah, the cream certainly did rise in that second quarter. Luke Powell, Simon Black with so much, an uncontested footy, no opponent within miles. And once they started to control the ball, they looked so dangerous and a lot cleaner than Adelaide when they went forward.
We're looking for a goal scorer to help out Jonathan Brown. We thought it might have been Chris Scott. He's off the ground, and Ash McGrath come up with 2 goals.
Yeah, thought he was pretty good too, always dangerous. Benny Hart gives away the free kick on that occasion, but McGrath was up against Andrew McLeod. McLeod gave the Crows some run, but McGrath with 2 goals was the better player in the first half.
Luke Powell, you mentioned that second quarter was terrific. This is a situation where the Lions just kept the ball moving forward with some quick gives. Sherman found McGrath standing on his own.
Some worrying signs for Adelaide. Thought they looked very tired in the second half against Melbourne last week. Again, fatigue seemed to be a factor in the second quarter here. They just seemed to be running out of legs. And Brisbane found theirs. Black, Ackermanis, Power through the corridor. 3 legs, and gee, I like this kid. Daniel Merritt, keep your eye on him. Just got his body in beautifully. And it's a big, strong one at that. Took a nice mark and has done some nice work up forward.
He's a big player that looks for the physical contest, doesn't he? He looks for body on body.
He does, and they'll be looking the other way because he is a big bloke and he's going to hurt some people. Notting started getting involved in the game. Sherman was a good player, getting some touches. And at this stage, they were irrepressible, and Adelaide couldn't find an answer.
I guess from Lee Matthews' point of view, he'd be happy that they lead by 32 points for sure, but the fact that Jonathan Brown's been very quiet, well held by Rutten, he's only managed the 1 goal himself.
The great sign, isn't it, that not relying on Jonathan Brown to win them the game single-handedly. He's going to be more and more an issue as the game goes on, but Ben Rutten's been very good early. But once again, Adelaide, with the uncontested footy out of defence, turned the ball over. Every time Adelaide made a mistake, bang, Brisbane made them pay.
Adcock finding Moody, and Moody just sneaking this one in. I guess that's been the story of the first half, is that Brisbane have made Adelaide pay for their turnovers, whether it be coming out of half-back or whether it be further up the ground.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Less ball inside 50 for Brisbane, but much better ball use, much more efficient in front. And the names, no surprise, Power, Ackermanis, Black, Lappin sneaking in there as well. Plenty of ball, a lot of it uncontested, and most of it effective.
They are the remaining Keno numbers, Chris, but good to see Josh Drummond on that list for his first game of AFL footy, coming off the rookie list, as I mentioned earlier in the night. Now we're going to show you a score from the game at the Telstra Dome, an important game for the Bulldogs. They're taking on the Kangaroos. Replays are coming. If you don't want to know the score, you can look away now. Well, that was a very hard score to find, Chris. So that is the ultimate look-away score because no one knows what the score is. But we'll follow that game. Do you know what the score is?
I do, but I'm not allowed to say.
It's the winning Keno numbers. Seriously, though, what can Adelaide do in the second half?
Well, they need to go back to... I think it's all about leadership now for Adelaide. Mark Rasciuto's 100th game as captain. He can't afford to spend so much time on the interchange bench. If they're going to win the game, Rasciuto, McLeod, Edwards need to stand up, and they've got to be more efficient with their ball use at the moment. They are getting monstered.
That is all ahead. In the second half, we'll take a break and see if Adelaide can do exactly that.
Seven, 7.
Hello, checking. Here we go. Second half coming up from Amy Stadium, and it's all ahead for Adelaide. They trail by 32 points, 7-1 to 1-5. They need more goal kickers than Scott Welsh. McGrath, the only multiple scorer for the Brisbane Lions, who are kicking very well in front of goal at the moment. Let's find out what's happening at boundary level. Here's Tiff Cherry.
Conditions a little bit more slippery out here. Some rain has fallen just in the last half hour or so. The wind has picked up a little bit. If anything, it's favouring to the right of the screen. As for injuries, well, the Lions, we mentioned Chris Scott and also Merritt a little bit before. Merritt will be just a little bit tired in his lower back, but he and Chris Scott both ran out and they both look okay. As for the Crows, well, Simon Goodwin, I've just watched him then. He's putting the tracksuit pants on. He's not iced up as yet. He does have a slight calf strain. They're saying he's touch and go at this point in time. And, of course, we saw Thompson come back out. He's okay with that dislocated finger.
Thanks, Tiff. And just as you were talking to us, the ice has just come for Simon Goodwin. So that looks a bad sign for the Crows. Now we can show you a score from the Western Bulldogs Kangaroos game from the Telstra Dome. If you don't want to know the score, look away now. I mentioned the Lions have been good in front of goal. They've kicked 7-1 tonight. In the last 2.5 games, they've kicked 40 goals, 26, which in itself sounds not bad in front of goal. 17 of those have been rushed. So they've kicked 40 goals, 9. So 4 out of 5 shots on goal. Pretty good return up forward.
Speaking about up forward, Andrew McLeod goes inside 50 for the Crows. Joins Scott Welsh, Ian Perry, Tyson Edwards. They need some goals up there. Andrew McLeod might be the player on a dewy night to do that for the Crows, but they need a couple early. Scotty Thompson in the midfield with Rashudo. The leaders are in the centre square. There's some firepower up forward. It's crunch time for Adelaide.
Adelaide have only won 2 of the 7 second halves this season. They need to win this one, as Hudson was trying to get it forward, but Ackermanis stole it and gave it to Lappin, who gave it to Power. The big names combined. Merritt's on the lead. Ball spills over the back. Merritt goes again with Bassett. Lurking is Tawney. Didn't get past, but Riley came in to help him out, and Riley with a clever kick off the outside of the boot. Burton, similar kick. So some good footy by the Adelaide defence. Sees the ball a long way from the Lions' goal. And Selwood, Moody, Adcock and Pike start their second half on the bench. Martin Pike yet to get a disposal. And we've got a boundary throw in, and it's McLaren up against Hudson. Hudson just laying it down. Black handballing through. Off the ground went Burton. Thompson got it back from Hudson. Skipping forward. Here's a chance for Perry. Rashudo combining with Thompson nicely. The low ball is a beauty. Edwards trying to get it in quick. Adelaide running hard. Doughty. Welsh gets rid of his opponent. Here's a chance for McLeod. Steps around Johnson, gave it over to Welsh, and they get the first goal of the second half. And the Amy Stadium like what they see.
Well, and they should like to see that as well. Andrew McLeod, the player inside 50. Neil Craig makes the move. The Crows move the ball with some speed, finally, taking them 2 quarters and 2 minutes. But they get the ball inside 50 with speed, and the little champ, a bit of this way, bit of that way, gives off to Scotty Welsh. Gets his second. Did they need that? Is an understatement. Andrew McLeod looms the danger man.
Scotty Welsh with his second goal. It's the first goal since the 25-minute mark of the first quarter for the Adelaide Crows. Just the start Neil Craig would have been looking for. Important now, they can get a couple in succession. That's a match-up to watch too. McLeod against Johnson. Hudson got up high. Matner can't break the lap and tackle, and will have a secondary bounce.
Neil Craig will be happy with the matchup though. Andrew McLeod with the leg speed. Chris Johnson does give you a chance on occasions, and McLeod just needs a fraction of a chance, and he looks ready to play.
Thompson. Hudson. Deft little handball. Sold his teammate into some trouble. That was Tawney. Matner overran it. Goes back. Has a second attempt. We'll have another bounce. Adelaide benches, Box, Skipworth, Biglands and Goodwin. Well, the ice going to Simon Goodwin's ankle. Won't take any further part you suggest. Ball spills free. Sherman. Ackermanis ridden in the back and wins himself a free kick. Sherman had pushed towards the wing, outer side of the ground. The young man goes long towards Brown, wearing him closely. Rutten did well with a good spoil. Loose man here, Chris Scott. Centering kick, only as far as Doughty. For the moment, the Crows can relieve.
They do so through Riley. Riley, long ball. Leppich leads in the race for it. Couldn't take the mark. Bassett did enough to keep it going forward. His tackle, or Lappin's tackle on him, is a good one. We'll have the ball up on centre wing. Margin was 32 points at half-time, and the Crows have the first score to bring it back to 26. Umpire throwing it up. Matner trying to get through. Lappin there for the Crows. Thompson's been good early in this third term, and once again umpire Ellis will take control. Adelaide have been better starters so far this season, but can they get a mirror image? Clean take by Henschel. Thompson slipping but still getting his kick. Oh, what happened there? Perry. Leppich went for a dive. Now Perry did well to recover quickly. Heading long. Copeland had to go back. Here's a chance. Jericho lost it. Michael forced a kick straight back towards Hudson. Forces it down at ground level. Coming through nicely, Doughty. Clean take. Giving it back to Matner. Not sure where to go. Now Perry gets a good shepherd. 51 metres out. He heads towards Big Burton. Couldn't take it, the Birdman. Michael will head towards the boundary. But in the way is Tyson Edwards. Again a clean take. But Michael wrapping him up and taking him over.
Great closing speed again, Mal Michael. Just doesn't go to ground. Consummate defender. Ball in the danger zone for the Crows. Brett Burton just not able to hold on.
Certainly get the impression the Crows have come out with that opening goal, but the intent and that purpose we were talking about, Chris, in the first half, as Burton charges through. This for the second. No, wrong side of the post, but they do look a much better side at the moment, Chris, attacking the ball.
Yeah, certainly do, and it's all or nothing for them in the first 10 minutes. They've got to get out of the blocks. Nathan Bott looks on. Brett Burton has a moment. Couldn't get the goal, but they're attacking the goal face and doing it just a little cleaner than they did in the first half.
Johnson's kick's a terrible one. We've seen that a bit of late. And Jericho, can he make him pay?
Is a thumping kick, Luke Jericho, and very quick off the mark. Chris Johnson wouldn't seen a lot of him. He has great foot speed, very athletic. Hasn't seen a lot of the footy or a lot of game time. Distance won't be a problem. Traditionally a pretty good kick for goal.
10 goals in his career. He wobbles it forward, it's off to the right, it's a behind. So just his first score, his first game for the season, 16 so far his career, and a reprieve for Chris Scott. Chris Johnson, I should say.
Yeah, once again, the Crows' shots on goal, not hurting the opposition. Killed them in the first half, not helping them start of the third quarter.
Chris Johnson with a much better execution and delivery. Got it over to Drummond, who finds Leppich, left side of the ball. Boot. Scott did well on the half volley. Hart pressures him. Crowd wants ball, but we'll have a throw in. No, it's deliberate. Deliberate out of bounds. And, well, we couldn't quite hear, but Chris Scott no doubt had a fair bit to say. And perhaps rightly so. Perry, fraught with danger. The big man has a bounce. Didn't realise there were Brisbane players around him. Fortunately, Mark Rasciuto takes the mark. And the Crows can go long again. This time Doughty up towards Tawney in front of Sherman. Pushed him underneath the ball. Bouncing ball. Has McLeod in support. Brilliant. He's got a bit too much pace for Chris Johnson. Centres it to the top of the square. In soccer, that was a beautiful cross. Didn't have anybody on the end of it, though. Out of bounds, we'll have a throw in. Left forward pocket for the Crows.
Looking dangerous, though, Andrew McLeod. Chris Scott, maybe a fraction tough. Do you think so?
Umpires have said if you're going up the line, if you're going ahead, but his intent was there. We've seen worse, we've seen better. Here's a chance for Thompson. Round the body, kicks the goal. The Crows are coming back, and they're coming back fast.
Thompson gets involved once again. He's got a goal. They've got the first two. There's a real spark around the place now, Chris. They must have heard you at half-time.
And getting plenty of footy too. The Crows 30 touches in the first 8 minutes. Brisbane only 9. Brisbane just can't lay a glove on the ball. Scotty Thompson off so much in the first half with that injured finger, but dangerous around the goals. Crows get back-to-back goals. The margin back to 18 points. And so dominant the Lions, but the Crows got a sniff.
Well, the Adelaide supporters have finally found their voice. They haven't had too many reasons in that first half, but now they do. Game on. The Crows with the first two of the third quarter. Hudson, the goal scorer, Thompson. Black and Ackermanis put pressure on him. The ball spills free. Burton. High ball to Will centre forward. Rashudo, good courage, the skipper. The importance of this man. Wants to get around onto that right boot. Loads up from 55. It's a long ball. It's a goal. They've got three. Here come the Crows.
Crowd says it all. Crows inside 50 for the 5th time in this third quarter for 3 goals too. Finally some value for effort. And it's all about the midfield. Luke Power, Simon Black, Ackermanis. Lappin so dominant in the first half, not sighted in the opening minutes of the third quarter. Thompson getting some ball, Rashudo getting some ball. The captain so dominant from outside 50, a powerful leg. Leads by example.
Great goal by the captain, but I can tell you where it's starting. Big Ben Hudson. He's just slaughtering them in the centre circle. Lee Matthews looks on.
Pretty lonely for a coach at times, boys, when you're going rough. They desert you.
McLaren working hard this time. Black just slapping it forward. Ackermanis bursting through. Clean take out in front of Merritt. Then there's no crummers. Merritt, game number 3. Under wraps from Bassett. Out of bounds.
Well, Adelaide with their tails up. Did it so rough in the first half. Couldn't hit a target. Plenty of the ball. Seemed to lose their way late in the second quarter. Obviously Neil Craig with a word or two. And Adelaide responded.
McLaren and Hudson again. McLaren, the smother came from Matner. Riley trying to clean up. Ball spills to Black. On his right boot. He's usually pretty good off the right. He's got some skill. First goal of Black. There's a lot of left footers out there that can't kick with the right boot. He's one that can.
He certainly can. And you just look for your cream, don't you? Your quality players to rise to the challenge. No better player in the game than Simon Black. Left foot, right foot, doesn't matter. Brisbane under siege. Black gets the answering goal. Game on.
Steadying goal from that man there on screen. That's his first goal for his season. And with the 8 possessions last week, it's the 6th time in his career in 155 games he's had less than 10 possessions. Wonderful player. Hudson again. Burton doesn't bother grabbing it, just hacks it forward, soccer style, towards centre half forward. All coming through there hard was Jericho, but Drummond was up to the task. Jericho got around a couple of Brisbane tacklers to Matner. The Crows measures the kick. Jericho dropped the mark, has time to recover. High ball towards the goal square, stays in play. Power makes sure, rush behind.
Well, look, Jericho doing some nice work inside 50 for the Crows. Trent Henschel gets a shot, had a quiet day. And, well, not out of the copybook, but if anyone can, Burton probably can.
Efficient, it worked. Johnson, this time Black, and he can go. Hasn't got a lot to kick to, though. Has to measure it to Drummond. First game player, in the end, he was pretty calm. Wants Brown. Rutten forced him out the way. Moody, Lappin, just lost his footing. Shirley on hands and knees. Out to Hart. In turn now Rashudo. Getting his team going. High ball. Big contest coming. Michael with the spoil. Welsh crumbing. Michael to clean up. To Black. Has to kick quickly and does. Lappin can go wider. Some real space here. Now Lappin's going to go down the middle. No one's coming to him. Now he draws the player. Out wide Scott. Burton corrals him pretty well. Scott's kicked too high for Brown. Sherman and Tawney. Tawney got rid of Sherman and came back. Rutten comes in to lend a hand, did well. Burton started the whole thing and then just sends it forward. Eventually, no, stays in. Well, it was the Doosra. No one read it. Nodding onto the chest of Sherman.
A long way from home, between wing and half forward, outer side of the ground. Goes inside, forward 50. The Crows have the number, one of which Hudson might have spent it.
Oh.
The big man had time. Good composure. Frees up Bassett. Hacks the ball up towards the outer wing. It's a foot race between Lepich and Perry. Did well there, Lepich. Lappin left it. Got it back. Not too sure which way to go. Tries to get around Perry's tackle. That's holding the ball. Well done. Great pressure, Ian Perry. No advantage. The ball will have to come back. Hasn't had the best of nights, but that would please his coach.
What he does though, Ian Perry, he never gives up, keeps on trying, gets better as the game goes on, will keep on running and presenting, becomes a dangerous player late in a game.
Switches play. He's got a loose man, Riley. Dropped the mark, has time. Now goes towards a 1-on-2 contest. Jericho getting back McLaren. And go over the top to Drummond. We'll get a Shepherd from Selwood. The young man heads up to another young teammate. Merritt slides into home base. Safe. Runs back into the play. That's play on, it should be. No. Prosciutto told to step away. Merritt to Selwood. He's got Chris Scott in the middle of the ground. On the half volley, Burton closes. And got rid of that tackler just. Dangerous handball there, the Brisbane Lions. They'll go inside 50. Selwood measures the kick towards McGrath. It's a good spoil though, Ackermanis. Dangerous in this situation. McGrath to Black, to Power. Wants the left boot around the corner, but straight to Skipworth. And for the moment, the Crows stand up in defence.
They've got what it takes at the minute, the Crows. Downey. Back pocket. Skipworth. With a bit of a skip himself, and now transfer the play, and Hudson's all on his own. The big man's away and he loads it up and kicks it long. It's a good one to Bassett. Hart wants it. Now Bassett going longer to the advantage of McLeod. Copeland goes back. McLeod's good enough. Copeland holds him up. McLeod away. Uses the umpire as a screen. Kicks it in board. Michael the spoil. Johnson didn't take it. Welsh did. Over to Perry. Perry round the corner, misses another one. You've got to make those errors pay. Perry again disappointed with his finish. Two behinds for the night.
He just doesn't put it beyond doubt, as we said about Ian Perry. Can be dangerous and gets himself into dangerous positions. Nobody knows it more than the Sarge. That was a kickable goal. Interesting move now for Neil Craig. He's taken Ben Hudson off. Been very good in the start of this third quarter. Mark Prosciutto's off as well, so it's crunch time now for Adelaide. Can they survive the onslaught without their skipper on the deck?
7 scoring shots for 3 goals, 4 for the Adelaide Crows in this third term. Brisbane only the 1 goal. Plenty of opportunities created by the Crows, just a little bit wasteful in front of goal. But they've worked themselves back into the match. Just under a touch of 9 minutes remaining of this third term. Brown on a long lead. It's a good kick from Drummond. That's his first disposal of the quarter. Jonathan Brown goes long towards McLaren with strength. Got it off to Lappin. This for the Brisbane Lions second. It's across the face of goal. Ackermanis, now it's Merritt. McGrath, did he get a boot to it? I think it's a goal. Decision pending. There you have it. He's got 3.
I'd like to see this again, but Merritt just lays that down for him.
And it looked a little bit lucky as well, but he gets his third because he runs hard to the contest. The ball goes to ground, and he just hits the trailing leg.
By default.
Bit of Aussie Ardealies about that one, Matthew. I know you'll like it.
I do like it.
Brett Burton does his best, and goal of the year.
Ash McGrath gets his 3rd goal with his 3rd kick, and a very lucky one, let's be honest. He's kicked that off the back of the foot of the trailing leg. But the Lions have kicked the last 2 to give themselves a bit more breathing space. McLaren was good in that last goal, and he knocks it down, but Matner wants nothing of it. Wants to say that goal isn't fair. Kicks it long. He may even kick the goal. He hits the post. Getting some length with those kicks. We've seen Rashudo and Matner get some length. I just don't know if there's any breeze picking up to the right of screen, but...
Oh, Martin Matner's a roosting kick on the run, breaking through the centre square, loves to go long and strong at the goal face. But how often have we seen it tonight? The Crows missing at one end, Brisbane taking the ball straight to the other end and scoring. Happened last time with Ian Perry. Ash McGrath gets his third at the other end. Martin Matner misses. Will we see a replay?
With power, possession number 22, Mel Michael. Still camped inside defensive 50 to Lappin. Now the experienced players for Brisbane combining. Black goes towards Brown. That's been an enthralling battle. Rutten's won the better of that. Tawney there for support. Was he taken high? No. Play-on's allowed to go. Pack forms will have a bounce. 65 from goal for the Brisbane side. 21 point margin as Martin Pike waits patiently for some more game time. He's only played 17 minutes so far in the match. The ball heads towards him. Nodding. Keeps it in. Yes, he does. But eventually it goes out.
And Martin Pike comes on as Ackermanis takes a spell and Voss swaps for Black. Biglan's this time. Down towards Skipworth. Selwood for the Lions. Just hitting in hope, really. Shirley. That's a nice take by Hart. Clean. Players with class will take it clean. Skipworth up and under. Good luck. Oh, Pike stood his ground. Didn't get a free kick. Drummond. Another hit in hope. Selwood over the top. In there was Burton. Also Thompson with the clean take below the knees. Perry in front. Johnson. Copeland. Thompson got a hand in there. McLaren, he's wrapped up. It's hard footy at the moment. Voss. Jericho. And we'll finally have a ball up. Or will we? No, we won't. Thompson doesn't want anything to do with it. Selwood, Biglan's. It just keeps it going. It's like a rugby ruck and maul. Scott laying it back to Pike. And Pike's on the board. Kicking it long. Brown. Play on. Couldn't take the mark. Here's Edwards. Adelaide now with a chance. With some room. Shirley spots a player deep in the pocket and gets him. Jericho. Oh, tough kick from there. He want to lay it off. Heads to the top of the square. High ball going back for the Lions. Didn't take it, Lepich. Moody. Releases lap and the line's clear.
Selwood got a hand to it, had some time to recover. He's got a loose man out wide, and that's Notting. Streams away, keeps the ball low. Don't know about the intention. Rutten, beautiful pick up from a big man. He's certainly had a terrific game. Goes to Tawney. Burton arriving late. Brad Scott. Burton this time. Smart play. Got a spoil. Moved the ball forward. Dowdy needed to be clean on the half volley. Burton shows him how, but lets himself down with a fresh air swing. Chris Johnson, well, deftly. Tunnel ball to Brad Scott. High ball now. Brisbane with the numbers. One of those is Moody. Tawney holds him up for the moment.
Did well there, Tawney, because Brisbane had 3-on-1. Forced Moody to kick it. He wants Brown. And he slides into it. Just getting a bit further from goal of late, Jonathan Brown, squaring kick. And they're mates, Brown and Notting. And you'll often find Notting on the end of a Brown pass.
Bit of local knowledge, Matthew?
Just observant. Chris?
I should have known.
Now, we saw Notting's kick a second ago, Wayne. He just along the ground. I mean, that's... But when he does get onto it and give it a roost, it kicks it a long way. So the distance will be no problems. Kicked a couple last week. On the reverse angle. They lead by 19 points. He's looking for career goal number 100. He's hooked it left. He's hooked it well left. So he remains on 99. The margin. 21 points. So, and that's their first behind they've kicked in a long time.
Crows started this third quarter on fire. Plenty of ball out of the midfield. Black and Lappin, though, the worry at the moment. Plenty of ball in the midfield now for the Lions.
Hart to himself. Played on Biglan's. Good strong mark inside the centre square. Made that ball his own. He's got a player who's broke, and that's Burton. Scott in pursuit. Important kick here, Brett Burton. Short, looked up, lowered his vision, and it's a good decision. Found Scott Thompson. 30 metres from goal, tight angle, but the Crows to bring the margin back to 16 points.
Yeah, got to back himself in here, Scotty Thompson. Missed with the goal late in the second quarter, but has been in very good form in front of the goals for the Crows this year. Brett Biglands takes the great catch in the midfield. Need to do more of that, but Scott Thompson needs to nail this goal.
Starts it right, brings it back beautifully. That's a wonderful goal. Scott Thompson likes it. He has 2.
Yeah, like it he does. Scott Thompson finding a very, very nice home here at Amy Stadium with the Adelaide Crows. They get their 5th goal, the margin back to 16 points. And are well and truly back in this game. They get a contested mark from Rhett Biglands. Move the ball through the corridor. And Thompson with the clean finish on one of the rare occasions tonight. One end of the ground to the other for the Crows and finish truly.
Thompson with 2 goals in the third term from 6 kicks. The margin was 32 at half-time. The Crows have halved it to 16, so they're on track. McLaren went early, Biglands didn't. Lappin harassed by Edwards. Got it forward to Scott. McLaren. That's a ruckman's tap to Voss. Chris Scott got rid of his opponent with the body. Tough kick from there. Oh, and he made it tougher.
Well, Adelaide have just cranked it up in this third quarter. Some pressure. They look gone for all money in the second quarter. But they've found that competitive spirit that Neil Craig loves and worked themselves back into the game.
They've got some run coming out of half-back too, as Hart gives it to Rashudo to Biglands, who's been good of late. Biglands can go for home. Long ball to the goal square. Michael with Welsh. Michael the spoils. Hardly put a foot wrong, Michael.
Geez, Brett Biglands looked up. He had Nathan Bock leading hard towards the forward 50. Instead, he decided to go long. That works into the hands of Mel Michael every time.
Yeah, certainly does. Brett Biglands, probably his foot skills, not his strength. Chose maybe the better percentage option. Not the right one on that occasion, Michael, too easily.
He wins the knock, and Copeland just punches it back. Two and a half minutes remaining, third term. Biglands again towards Black, and a leg free kick, and it'll go back to Simon Black. Coming up for disposal, 23, equal game high with Mark Rashudo. So whatever was wrong with Simon Black last week, he's fixed it.
Not good.
Measures it to Merritt. Now wants Brown. Oh, somehow. Toy almost marked that. Skipworth. McLeod. Well, over to Edwards, and I don't know where that kick was headed because Sherman's going to run onto it for the Lions. Notting has made position for him in the pocket. Here comes the hound dog Bassett. Couldn't get it. Edwards, a chance to mop up. Adcock around the body to the goal square. 2-on-1 the Lions. 2 will win out. Chris Scott will get it. Gee, I thought Adelaide were away there. They had the numbers heading towards the wing, and oh no, Edwards, his kick just went out in front of Sherman. Chris Scott has already kicked 1 goal. This from point blank range. The answering goal for the Lions. 2 to Chris Scott.
Once again, the Crows' foot skills just letting them down. Tyson Edwards, normally so clean, can't clear the ball efficiently enough from the danger zone. The Lions with the loose footy, options inside 50. And just when they didn't need it, surely Nathan Bassett will regret the fact he didn't punch and clear the danger zone. Unlike him, and the Crows are made to pay.
Every time the Adelaide Crows are mounting a challenge, Brisbane
Got the answers?
struck back every single time. So the centre square personnel for the Crows include Mark Rashudo, Scott Thompson, and young Hayden Skipworth, along with Michael Voss, Black and Selwood. Notting did well, maintained his composure.
Oh, clever.
Power. It's a smart kick. Could have loaded up, but he's a terrific user. He's a lot like Nick Del Santo.
Great call that, and just beautiful. Almost changed mid-stride, Luke Power, on that occasion. Wouldn't have been blamed for going long to the goal square, but just in the last second, catches Chris Scott out the corner of his eye, lace out on the chest. And a chance for 2 goals in a minute for Brisbane. And again, another answer.
This for goal number 3.
Ooh.
No, lets himself down. In fact, out of bounds on the full. Well, he's been a terrific find up forward for Brisbane, Chris Scott. Couldn't find the big sticks last week, but he presents in the absence of Alistair Lynch and provides a handy foil for Jonathan Brown when the Brisbane Lions go forward.
So we've got a minute to go. And it's a 22-point margin as Hart breaks.
Oh, costly.
Adcock the spoil. Look at this, 3-on-1. McGrath's got 3 goals from 3 kicks. He's muffed it. He had all the time in the world. So a reprieve for Ben Hart and the Crows.
Yeah, well, Adelaide let Brisbane off the hook in the first quarter. Brisbane doing the same late in the third quarter. A couple of opportunities. Jonathan Brown on his own. Ben Hart, a poor decision late in this quarter. Could have hurt. And a sigh of relief, no doubt, for the Crows veteran.
He loads up again. He wants Biglands, but he's picked out Hudson, was it? No, it was Rutten, I should say. Adelaide still running, though. Thompson doesn't waste many. Good measured kick. Spoil came from Drummond. In good in his first game, Brad Scott gave it up. Matner on the up. Jericho sees a player around the corner. Burton in the pocket. Burton kept it in. Burton should kick the goal. It's not going to make it. Saved by the goalkeeper. Wayne Schwasser's just handballing madly right next to him. He should have given it, Wayne.
I would have thought so. He had Scotty Welsh, who was already on his feet. Mel Michael closing lately. Look, it's easy to comment from here, but there was Scotty Welsh. It was actually Justin Lepich. Well, in the context of this game, that sums it up.
It was an important timing, right before three-quarter time. He knows it.
Johnson heads out towards Drummond. Henschel got a hand on it. Black towards Pike. Matner will have to stand his ground, and the veteran for the Brisbane Lions took a good mark. And there's the three-quarter time siren.
Well, it was a much more entertaining third term. The Crows finding the goals for the first time in the evening. They kicked 4, but the Lions did steady to kick 3 of their own. They wasted some opportunities, the Adelaide Crows, kicking 4 goals, 6, but they have got closer. They have got within 22 points, and that is what faces them here at three-quarter time. We'll take a break. We'll come back with the final quarter on Saturday Night Football. Yes, the Crows were coming back in that third term, but they still trail by 22 points. They did win that third quarter by 10. Thompson got a couple, Welsh has got 2, McGrath has 3 for the Lions. Rashudo and Black leading the respective teams on the disposal lists. Big quarter coming up. Let's find out what's happening down at ground level, how the benches are travelling. Here's Tiff Cherry.
Well, Neil Craig very positive then, just brought the guys in really close and just told them to believe in themselves, and they're very positive about winning this game. They still believe they can certainly win. As we said before, they've obviously got a bench of 3. As for the Lions, no major injury concerns, but none of the older players getting very tight, getting hamstring and lower back soft tissue massage done.
Thanks, Tiff. Wayne, you picked up something during that third term?
Yeah, Ben Hart indicated with this little bit of vision here, and he did it once previously. I had to see it a couple of times to make sure that that's what he was doing, but that's an indication that he's going to play onto himself and go long towards the square, which is the ball that Bigland's marked, which eventually led to an Adelaide goal.
So a couple of little signals there from the very smart Ben Hart. Adelaide still have it all before them.
You learn those things in college for us. You know, public school boys, we never learn how to do those things like that.
I don't think, looking at all 3 of us, I don't think there's a degree between
Negative, and negative. We'd have to buy one, I think.
Big last quarter for the Crows, though. It hasn't been their strength over the last 3 weeks, struggling for leg power in the last quarter. What have they got tonight?
Well, that's something the Lions have done as well, as Rashudo gets them forward first up. Power diving on it. Edwards diving on him. The handball just came out. Thompson off a step. Gets plenty of distance, but unfortunately it's just a behind, but a good opening. Centre's clearance once again for the Adelaide Crows. And that is the Lions bench. McLaren in the foreground, and Chris Johnson not handballing to himself there, Schwatter. He's just not sure where to go.
Public schooler. Oh, enjoy your humour, Matty. Johnson tries to spot the kick. It was Black. Box sees the ball out of bounds for a throw-in.
42,357 people, Amy Stadium tonight. Sell-out crowd before the game. Couple staying home because of the weather, no doubt. But a pretty healthy crowd.
21 points the margin. Early stages, 4th term. Adelaide. Are they good enough? Hudson has worked tirelessly in the ruck, as he has had all year. Ball spills free. Ackermanis mops up. And that left boot towards Brown. Rutten on this occasion. Well, Jonathan Brown won that one this time. Eyes darting everywhere. Wants something. And steers the ball down the line. Mattner will close. Oh, got his hands on the ball. Couldn't take the mark. Pike and spreads. Chris Scott appealing for the free kick. The ball comes out courtesy of Chris Scott. Hart. Handballs to a target this time. Not himself. Thompson to Rashudo. The bigger name players starting to get involved. Dangerous handball intended for Thompson. McGrath, Rashudo applied the tackle. Good second effort coming through. Edwards got a fist on the ball. Burton. Well, the ball wobbles up the side of his boot fortuitously into the arms of Mattner. And the Crows, they're a chance here if Perry can mark the ball. Well, that sums up his night, Ian Perry. The ball spills out, and this time into the arms of Dowdy.
They come again, Adelaide. Dowdy's kick only to the advantage, though, of Power. Down in front, Drummond. Power just wanted to steal it from him, and we have another boundary throw in.
Get the feeling the Crows need a goal early. Just need some encouragement, some reward for effort. So much better in the third quarter. Need a goal. Opening minutes of the last quarter. Get the crowd involved. Get their tails up.
Hudson trying to lay it down to Thompson. Black read it before him. Lappin slides into it. Not quite a give, but Ackermanis forces the ball forward. McGrath tumbles it out towards Notting, who just kept it going forward. Tawney in the best spot for Adelaide. Back to Hart. Evades Adcock. Adelaide in the best position here with Thompson. He has Rashudo. And they're away here, Adelaide. Thompson gets it back. Pass out in front of Jericho. Takes it. Thompson's been very, very good since coming back on the ground. In the absence of Goodwin, he's just stepped up. And now Jericho, well, he thought about playing on, but he's been told to go round on his angle. How will he go? You said earlier, Chris, he's a very long kick.
Yeah, gives the ball an absolute roost. Traditionally a very straight kick for goal. Didn't quite time the first one. No doubt the kid's nervous. Hasn't seen a lot of AFL action this year, nor a lot of quality moments action this year. nor a lot of quality moments in the local league, but he knows where the goals are. This is the goal the Crows need.
It's vitally important. It looks pretty good. It's there. Crows back to within 15 points.
Luke Jericho, the man Neil Craig selects this week to give the forward structure some much-needed pace and a little bit of flair. Once again, Scotty Thompson, the player involved, as Matty said, so good. But Luke Jericho, the player, preferred in front of Mark Stevens. The Crows needed a goal, and the 20-year-old gets one.
15-point margin here, just over 17 minutes remaining. Luke Jericho with his first goal, but set up by Scott Thompson. 7 possessions in that third term, 2 goals. Importantly in this fourth term early, 4 possessions setting up that Luke Jericho goal. Shirley tries to hack it out near that man, just on cue. Scott Thompson, possession number 5 in this fourth quarter. Hart, Matner, into trouble, out of trouble, onto the left boot, Dowdy. Has got runners. Matner continues on, now goes back to Dowdy. They can set up, they've got men across the other side of the ground, Adelaide. If Hudson's aware of it, no. Matner is sharing the ball around the Crows. Plenty of numbers back. McLeod breaks. Thompson finding the ball at will. Now goes long towards full forward. Welsh, good contest. McLeod, oh, needed a kind bounce. Got a fingernail on it. Ball spills free. Burton leads in the race. Slides, handballs over the top towards Perry. Can he keep it in? Yeah, got around the tackler. Did well, Ian Perry. Gets it onto the right boot. High ball, McLeod coming through. Has to do the spoil. Edwards tapped it down, but straight down the throat of Simon Black. Brisbane under pressure. Martin Pike quickly finds Adcock, takes a good mark.
And they play on quickly. Brad Scott, Brown on Rutten. Rutten's in the best spot. He gets some help from Thompson. He just couldn't quite take it that time, but he gets it from Rutten.
Good
they
hands.
work it out. Shirley, shoulders, arms, back to Big Rutten. Running now, Tawney off the half-back line, told to go for it. Jason Tawney hits it high, but Mal Michael likes it like this. Welsh, Michael the spoil. Perry, crumbing, squeezes out. Adelaide still alive. Nathan Bock trying to straighten himself up. Drummond did well. With the smother. Adelaide, they're just forcing themselves into a winning position here.
Well, they're certainly having a moment. They'll like the ball where it is. We've said before, this is a dangerous spot for Adelaide to get the ball. Do some great work here. Andrew McLeod, the player, can get involved and kick a goal from here.
Hudson and Merritt. Rashudo. Well, appeal for the free kick, not forthcoming. Johnson extracts it, gives it over to Power. Always looking to use the ball well. Has to go long towards Brown. Rutten wearing him in closely. Thompson, he's everywhere at the moment. Ball out of bounds. That might have been off the foot of Scotty Thompson, but he has certainly been the spark in this third and fourth quarter, Chris.
Certainly has. Just such an important player for Adelaide. Great pickup. Wants to captain the club in some stage and going the right way about it, that's for sure.
Matner. Well, Power with a good tackle. Couldn't break that. The two opposing number 12, Shirley and Akamana. Scott Thompson. The ball is finding him even when he doesn't want it, if that's possible. Lepich. Handballs blindly. Got it over to Jericho. Rashudo, the skipper. Can he answer with his quick goal in the fourth quarter? Yes, he can. Mark Rashudo gets the second goal in this fourth quarter for Adelaide.
Superoo he is. Scott Thompson, Mark Rashudo, strong bodies, great at ground level. The Crows finishing this game running hard. The question had to be asked, how was their form in the last quarter? It's been fairly ordinary the last 3 weeks. But the powerful leg of Mark Rashudo finds the goals. The margin back to 9 points.
Second goal to Mark Rashudo in the second half. Scott Thompson, 8 disposals already in this term. We've still got just under 15 minutes remaining. 6-1 inside 50 tells the story. Crows coming hard. Merritt tapped it down. Lappin to Nodding. Ackermanis didn't take it. Wants the free kick, won't get it. Matner did well. Here they go again. Edwards. Long ball out in front of Perry. Lepic squeezing in. Forced to kick it straight back to the Crows though. Oh, he got a terrible bounce, Matner. Brown, McGrath from 50. Off the side, and he misses everything.
Marty Matner's been another important player
In the last term,
Scott
has been
Thompson.
great. Yeah. His ability to beat tackles, and we know how good a tackler he is, but he is beating tackles in the traffic.
He doesn't go to ground much. He's got good, strong hips, breaks tackles, right, and such great speed and a penetrating leg. But the Crows, no margin for error, and ball in Brisbane's forward 50.
Big Hudson wanted it. So did Moody.
Oh, got a free kick too.
Free kick, Moody. Tough kick from there. And he's only playing his third game of AFL football. He's kicked one tonight. And he kicked two last week, as I mentioned earlier. There's no tougher pocket at Amy Stadium than that one, Chris.
I'm not going to say it, Matty. We know whose pocket it is.
Good evening, Tony Hall, good friend of yours.
Although you did change it to the Trent Henschel pocket last game against the Kangas when he kicked the goal from here.
What would he aim to do just quickly, Chris, here?
He's got to drill it. I mean, it's not a sort of ball you can afford.
Well,
drill it at the goal. I mean, it's not the sort of pocket you can actually kick the ball up and let the wind do something.
Hit it low and
Maybe
hard.
just a little bit inside the right-hand post, but it's a kick that you've got to punch. Yeah, well, you obviously know I didn't kick many days, so don't ask somebody who knows, will you?
88 games as captain of the Adelaide Crows. Chris McDermott, Matthew Moody. Well, he didn't drill it.
Didn't listen.
No. Margin to 10 points. And the Crows want to move it quickly because they've got the momentum so far.
10 points the margin. Let's see what Ben Hart indicates here. Just a twirl of the ball, no handball, crouch position. I have no idea what that means. We'll find out soon enough.
He's going to kick it.
Let's hope so.
Here we go.
Long.
Oh, gee, went close to the line.
Inside
too.
the square, Hudson got a shepherd from his own teammate, and that was Rutten. But the big man was up to the task. Been impressed when the ball gets to ground level with Ben Rutten.
Crunch coming.
Bott got his hands to it. Now he's outnumbered 2-1. He's got some problems. The crowd one holding the man. The ball goes inside 50 for Brisbane again, but straight down the throat of Ben Hart, and he had support from Rutten as well if he needed it.
Hart just chipping short. Hudson gave it back to him. Lions getting some numbers back, but the Crows have the leg speed at the minute. They have the run. Bott dropped it, but then got it back over to Bassett, so the defenders combining. Thompson just went to ground, but gee, got up quickly. Bassett got it from Jericho, couldn't get past Adcock. Boundary throw in, 12 minutes remaining. Adelaide have kicked the only 2 goals of the last term. Voss still waiting to come on. Well, I'm not sure if he's waiting to come on, he's just standing up watching. Punch forward by Scott. Moody running black. Now hooks the ball into the advantage of Brown. Gee, what a game by Rutten. Kept his feet. Hardly wasted disposal. Hudson now. Out in front. Perry had the leg speed, but Lepic, the old leg's still going.
Yeah, Ben Rutten you speak about, Matty, too. Not only has he done such a great one-on-one, had a one-on-one duel with Jonathan Brown, he's touched the ball 19 times from full-back. Doesn't waste a disposal. Quality kid, that's for sure.
Biglands replaces Hudson. Ben Hudson, not much wind left in the tank. Power, clean, out of traffic, up towards Voss. He's finally got on, Matty. He'd be pleased about that. Goes to Black. Burton in pursuit. Couldn't get there. Riley, McGrath just worked him under the ball. Did well. McGrath couldn't take the mark, though. Brown loops the handball over to Sherman. Shirley with a wonderful tackle. Well, that could be defining in this game. The ball comes out to McGrath, though. And the Crows through Edwards. Under pressure. Relief for the moment. Heads out to Rutten. Steers the kick down the throat of Bock. Did well on the half volley. Managed to get the kick away. Finds Edwards. Important play coming up.
Thompson now for Adelaide on the wing, wants to move it quickly, and why not? Because on the end of it, it's Rashudo. What can he do from here? On the he's gone for goal again. Oh. Just across the front.
You'd probably rather that kick to go out of bounds there, Chris, on that occasion.
Yeah, absolutely. But Mark Rashudo, so dangerous inside 50. Neil Craig rolling the dice, playing the skipper inside the attacking 50, looking for goals. Courageous coaching from Neil Craig. We've seen him do it plenty of times this year.
No margin for error for Adelaide late in the last quarter.
Copeland wanted Lepic and found him. Lepic, well, they want to replay that one, and then kicks it round the body. Lappin under some pressure. Lucky bounce for Scott, and just getting in there is Matner, doing enough.
Gee, it's a different Brisbane, isn't it, in the last quarter?
It is. You don't get a stat for that, but what Marty Matner did there, just being able to get a hand on the ball. Brad Scott could have been away, but importantly saw the ball into a dead situation and set up again.
Shirley, again the third man up over the top with the punch. Ackermanis, pushed in the back. McLeod walks away, not happy. Ackermanis down the line. Vossi's target, got to beat 2. Burton went a little bit early. Moody went one-handed. Trying to be cute on a slippery night. Got to be 2 hands straight at it, clean take.
Brisbane under siege though from Adelaide. They can sniff a win. Ball handling errors now. So much part of Adelaide's game for the first 3. All Brisbane at the moment.
Biglands did well, sorry Chris, he took it out of the ruck. Lepic the spoil for the Lions. Here's McLeod. Out of bounds on the full. 17th disposal for Andrew McLeod. 7 inside 50s. But Adelaide continue to press forward. They look much more dangerous than the Lions here. The Lions holding on, if you like.
Johnson, the recipient of the free kick against McLeod. Big pack flies. Hart sees the ball out of bounds just in front of Brett Burton. They'll set up and go all over again. Just under 10 minutes remaining. 9-point margin in front of Brisbane. But Adelaide coming home with a wet sail. Burton against McLaren. Biglands. Do apologise. Edwards. Dispossessed. Matner is everywhere. Coming through. Bassett just got the ball moving forward into the path of McLeod. Big play coming up. Johnson. McLeod with a tackle. Could have been holding the man. We'll have a throw in. A little bit closer to goal for Adelaide. Crowd displaying their disgust. Lee Matthews. Assistance to one side. Give me some space, please. I don't know what you can read into that, Matty. Maybe nothing. Biglands towards the boundary line again, and we'll go again.
All the numbers favouring Adelaide in the last quarter. 58 touches to Brisbane's 37. It's dried up in the midfield for Brisbane. Luke Power struggling to get hold of it. Only a couple of touches. Black with 4. 9 to Thompson. Matner with 6. Rashudo 5 doing the damage for the Crows.
I know Tiff mentioned she was talking to Lee Matthews before. I think he's got the flu. He's trying to keep away from the others. Edwards out of bounds on the full. He wants to push in the back and just
Not getting it.
not getting it. Ackermanis wears the gold boots in the second half. Hoping kick for Brown. Over the back, Lappin. Fell into his hands. He's a long way from goal. He's going to hope for a bounce. What's it going to do? Here's Hart. Did well. Got some help coming through those Sherman.
Great tackle.
Wanted to be a tank in that situation. Got stopped quickly. And there's a free kick to Adelaide and the crowd are happy.
Oh, the tackling from the Adelaide Footy Club. Bodies on the line. They know this is a crunch game for them. It's a swing game for Adelaide. Ben Hart, Jason Tawney, full of courage, deep in defence.
Great work by Hart, wasn't it? Doughty.
Too far.
Too far.
Oh.
There's a turnover you don't expect.
Well, just undoes that great tackle in the defensive 50, but you can't deny the young man. McGrath, false start. Just in the goal square. Brown and Rutten one out. Brown breaks. That's where he heads, towards the pocket. Getting back Tawney. Did well. Managed to affect the spoil.
Oh, brilliant.
Gets the ball back. Measures the kick to Riley. Certainly got the momentum. Adelaide. Brisbane have stopped. Welsh. A long way from home, Scotty Welsh. Biglands pushes forward, marked by McLaren. Can come back inboard to Dowd if he wants. That's fraught with danger, though, you'd think. Welsh, high ball, long down the line. Well, Biglands went very early. Loose ball, Copeland, good tackle, Thompson. Was that deliberate? No, not on this occasion. We'll have a throw in, outer side of the ground.
Just a little glance there, wasn't there, from Black?
Cheeky glance.
How did I go?
Did I get away with it?
I get away
I
with
did.
it? Yeah. 8 minutes remaining. Crows need 2 goals. Biglands too strong. He'll get a free kick anyway.
Be no advantage if we come all the way back. Six goals to 3 second half, and there's a bit of dancing going on there. Rhett Biglan's now for Adelaide. Lions with everybody back.
Oh.
Biglan's picks out Drummond, who didn't take it. Riley kept it alive for Adelaide. Welsh trying to hook it back towards Skipworth. He's got it now. He lays off the handball to Matner. High ball. 2-on-1 Adelaide. Oh, Scotty Welsh almost took it. Drummond pinched by Shirley. Out the back. Johnson in trouble. Still not out of jail yet. He's kicked it straight back towards the Crows. Well, he got a lucky bounce. Adelaide still in control though. Tawny's underneath the Voss tackle, and they are still pressing Adelaide.
They are just got no margin for error. Adelaide cannot afford to let Brisbane score. They need 2 goals themselves, but can't afford an error. Can't afford a break in concentration. Need a goal now.
Umpire Ellis just throws the ball up, getting it moving quickly. Ball slapped out, ducking his head on that occasion. Matner, no free kick. And there you have it. Umpire Ellis said he did duck his head. We'll have a bounce as the clock keeps ticking. 6:40 remaining. The Adelaide supporters in full cry. Michael Matner is doing his part to Rashudo. Cheeky little handball over to Edwards. Important ball coming up now towards the square. All players running underneath him. Brisbane player fell at the wrong time. Welsh, good tackle. Adcock escorts the ball over for a rush behind. 8 points the margin. Adelaide threatening.
6 minutes remaining, Chris, but you just get the sense it's only a matter of time.
Absolutely, they are just pressing Brisbane. No answers at the moment. Dried up in the midfield. Luke Power not able to get into the game. Michael Voss can't touch it. Simon Black's had 4 touches, but not the dominant force he was in the third quarter. It is all Adelaide. Can they find the avenue to goal?
And that's indicative of what's happening, isn't it? Just the real safe short chip to the pocket. No run. Lappin provides now. Now Michael trying to sneak away and does so. I liked his game though. Been very good. Rutten's been exceptional for Adelaide. Lappin to Johnson. Now they're not trying to wind down the clock here. They just don't have the running options to kick to.
None at all. Nothing opening up. Sooner or later they've got to kick to a contested situation, you think, and that's when Adelaide have got to pounce. Wait for an error. There's plenty of time left. 5.5 minutes is a long time in the last quarter.
Here it comes, Chris.
Patience.
Here's the contest. Brown has come a long way. Couldn't take it, and Shirley happy to see it over the line, and this is where Adelaide are in control.
That's the neutral ball they've wanted. They've just got to bide their time, the clock, and not panic by looking at the clock. They've been very good at boundary throw-ins tonight, ruck throw-ins around the ground. Rhett Biglan's and Ben Hudson having the better of the duels. They've got to like themselves here.
Whatever he said at half-time, Neil Craig has certainly had an effect. Been a different Adelaide side. Edwards, lovely pick-up, dishes it off to Hart, bouncing ball, Perry worked Michael under the ball.
This is it.
Quick handball from Skipworth, Perry towards the goal square, Johnson getting back, off the ground, Thompson! Scotty Thompson has kept it alive, and he has 3.
That was the moment for Adelaide. Patience was the key. Wait for a contested situation, a ball up or a throw in where they've been dominant. It comes, Ian Perry again. Dangerous player late in the game. Scrubby kick forward. Johnson can't mark. Thompson holds his feet as he always does. Out of nowhere, kicks the goal. Their tails are up. No answers for Brisbane. You've got to think the Crows should win from here.
Scott Thompson, 10 disposals for the quarter, his 3rd goal and none more important. That's just a terrific goal. And Chris called it. He said, this is it. And now there's only 1 kick in it for Adelaide. 2 points the margin. The Lions under siege with just under 5 minutes remaining. Black not going anywhere. Scott was going off the ground, Power did, but Adelaide irrepressible at the moment. Big pack forming, they've got all the numbers. Burton was stripped of it. Power's away. He didn't see his opponent, he just stepped around him. Luke Power's still going.
Oh.
He's had 6 bounces.
He chips over the top to Ackermanis, who, on that occasion, he thought about going. Adelaide were away there.
Well,
here's Burton. There's the leg.
Bit of show about it as well. Tough kick though, Ackermanis.
What can he do from 50 metres? He's not sure. It's a behind. 3 points the margin. The Lions have only managed 2 behinds in this last term.
Well, we made mention of this at three-quarter time. That would indicate that he's going to go long after playing on. Thank you, Ben Hart. You didn't make a liar of me. Instead of kicking it, a handball's to Shirley. Now he decides to go long, tumbling the ball up towards the centre square. McLaren, well, the pressure's on. Dropped the mark. The Crows going forward through Rutten. Bouncing ball, Thompson. What a second half of football he's had. The Crows couldn't keep it in on that occasion. It was Jericho, but Scott Thompson, well, had an injury in that first term, went off. A lot of time off the ground, but he has been the pivotal player in this second half of the Adelaide Crows.
No doubt about that. Once again, boundary throw-in. Crows dominant so much in this last quarter. Will like themselves from here.
Hudson has had a rest in this fourth term. Lappin, Burton stole it. This time keeps his feet. Bangs it up high. They'll contest. Oh, flying high was Jericho. Couldn't take the mark. McLeod. Michael for the moment. Well, he's not too sure. Instead, goes short, finds his skipper.
Now Michael once again calm in defence, and Voss trying to settle it down for the Lions.
You'd have to say there'd be some serious doubts in the minds of the Brisbane players.
Well, they just haven't got the legs at the minute. Brown provides, Rutten spoils. Seen that a lot. Gee, great work from Shirley. He's just trying to keep it alive and trying to get it forward, and Matner may do it. Adelaide still have it. Riley off a step. Great work by the Crows. Big spoil came, but they've got numbers. Matner, 60 metres out, heads to the goal square again. Big leaps from everywhere, and the spoil comes through. What a crescendo this game has. It's building up to the last kick to win it. Here's Jericho with another big leap. Lepich coming through.
That's brilliant, Justin. Lepich, how good is that fist? Plenty of time still left on the clock for Adelaide if they're to win this game. Brisbane have possession. Adelaide need patience. 2.5 minutes is a long time in the last quarter. Adelaide have just got to find that neutral ball.
Johnson, good mark. Copeland running back. Got the kick away towards Brown. The ball will bounce first. Rutten closes, applies the tackle, and did well.
No. Ooh, I thought it
We'll have a throw in between wing and half forward for the Brisbane Lions.
I don't want to preempt anyone that picks votes or anything like that, but often midfielders at lots of disposals get votes. It's great to see that Ben Rutten will get 3 votes right around the country.
You heard it first. Matthew Campbell on Fox Footy. Rashudo quickly towards Thompson. Anything he touches turns to goal at the moment. Perry, can he keep the ball alive? Thompson kept his feet. Couldn't keep possession of the ball. Out of bounds with 2:16 remaining. Fourth term. Margin 2 points in favour of Brisbane, but it is Adelaide coming.
And there's still plenty of time, and they like the situation, as Chris mentioned. Hudson to do battle with McLaren. The big man gets in front. He wanted Edwards. Out the back, it was Power. Ridden to the ground by Matner. Ball up.
There's been a lot of talk about flooding, but I'm pleased to say that football is alive and well. It doesn't always have to be a high-scoring game to be an entertaining game.
Well, it wasn't that entertaining in the first half, but Black gets it forward. The Crows have made it entertaining in the second as Brown gives it off to Sherman. No one up forward except 2 people, and here they come. It's Merritt and Bassett knew that it was an off break and it was heading towards the boundary.
Yeah, but important distance for Brisbane. Ball moves from one end of the ground to the other. Under 2 minutes of play left. Boundary throw-in. Crows dominant from here. Rashudo's around there. Edwards is there as well. Brett Burton as well. They need to clear the ball from here. A goal will end it from Brisbane.
Hudson is too big though. Rashudo, Ackermanis and Edwards. Ackermanis just got it forward a little bit. Brown. Another boundary throw-in. Tense now. 90 seconds to go. Next goal wins.
Brave.
Reckon I'm safe. 90 seconds. McLaren wins this one. Lappin somehow getting it out in front. McGrath needs a kind bounce. Gave it back to Voss. The captain off a step. Won't make the distance. Rutten going back. Forcing through a behind. Margin back out to 3 points.
Good result for Adelaide, though. Gives them possession. Ben Hart goes for the ball. Will he do the Wayne Schwass handball? There it is. There it is.
Oh, I think that's a signature move. I like that, Chris.
There it is.
On cue. Will go long. Quickest way home. They trail. Bassett. Merritt with a good spoil. Decisive. Black to Lappin. Can go inside 50. Sherman steadies. This to Isett. Will it get the distance? Yes, it does. They celebrate. You would think that is game over.
I think you're right. I think you're right. It is game over. Justin Sherman, too, the player with the cool head. Ben Hart clears the ball from full back, but Brisbane forced a turnover. Lappin with the patience. Sherman with the finish. Game, set, and, according to Matthew Campbell, match.
Yeah, he's pumped, isn't he? .58 seconds on the clock. They need 2 goals, the Crows. Those people don't think it's possible. I sort of thought it was next goal wins, but who knows? I still think I'm right, Chris. 11-6 to 8-15. Brisbane took them a long time to get a goal in this last term, but they get the important one. Are Adelaide done with yet? Here they come. Johnson, though, standing in the way. Back to Adcock. Shares it with Pike. They just need a possession, and they'll hold it up. And they do.
Well, Adelaide will look back to the first quarter. All that footy they had. Couldn't finish in front of goal. Some opportunities missed. And they've had Melbourne last week. Brisbane this week. St Kilda away. What might have been for Adelaide. Brisbane courageous in the end.
Brisbane will win their 3rd game for the season, the 2nd on the road. But they will continue this run against the Adelaide Crows. It'll be 6 in a row, but 4 out of 5 here at Amy, which is an unusual record. They've done it hard. They've held on. It'll be one of those great cliches. We're just happy to get the 4 points. And they've got the 4 points. Lee Matthews may have the flu, but he's got to win. And it was a disappointing first half by the Adelaide Crows, but they did swarm in that second half. They looked as though they had it done. They got within a kick, but in the end, the last goal for the Lions, the winning goal, and they're pretty happy. It's been a lean time for them.
Well, it was one of those games that we spoke.
Well, half forward, Rigoni. Farmer shrugs the tackle from Scarlett, plays on, goes long with a kick across his left shoulder and scores. No, he doesn't. It bounces awkwardly over for a boundary throw-in.
I just reckon with Jeff Farmer, I know it's going to be a very hard spot to play sometimes in a forward pocket. I reckon every now and if he's starting to struggle, give him 5 minutes on the ball instead of maybe taking from the ground. Give him a chance to get into the play, which he is doing at the moment, the last 3 or 4 minutes of this game.
King, Swartz, Scholes, Briggs. Play on. Scarlett under pressure. Ward did well. And the boundary line was Geelong's ultimate aim. Farmer a bit indiscreet. Then give away the free. A little bit silly, Jeffrey. There's not much point, Howard, having words to Carl Steinford.
I think what happened, he might have... just watch this incident here. Watch it closely. Not there. Watch this when he stands up. If we can keep taking this, we can't.
What are you suggesting, Ian?
I think that Carl Steinford was just a little...
annoyed, was he?
A little excited about what happened there.
Well, there's no one on the mark now, so he can run with it and take it up onto the wing. Well done by Bizzle. Had a quiet day. Able to lay it off. Wojcinski's kick right up to half forward. They need a lucky bounce there. Ronnie Burns, if he's to get it, he gets it. Milburn had not had a good day, as opposed to Shane Woden, who's been the match winner, or one of them. Demons have had a few, and Jeff White's got on top in his duel with Stephen King. Swartz has tried hard, done a lot of the hard things today. Harley's had a day he'd rather forget. There's another free kick given away by Jeff Farmer. Goes to Bradshaw. Inside the last minute of this game, Geelong trailing by 24. They'll get one more chance perhaps at goal. And can Baldwin get his third? He's in front and he's got it.
Cannot believe the form that he's shown. You just couldn't, like, everybody's going to say the same thing. You couldn't believe that he wasn't given more field time.
Maybe Mark Thompson not to know this. I mean, of course he's been playing the VFL.
He must have been playing well to get his chance.
Yeah, and you know what they've done? But they will be fined because they've plucked this bloke outside the 22. Sorry, outside the 25.
Correct.
And you get fined for that.
Yeah.
So if you do it, you must reckon he can play a bit. He's kicked another goal.
Kicked 3.
3 kicks, 3 goals.
Well, there's 19 seconds left in this game. 17 now. They could keep it going for another 5 minutes. He might kick 6 or 7 and win the game.
Well, let me give you a tip, boys. You're certainly playing next week, and he may start on the ground. They take on Sydney down at Shell Stadium. Or it depends if David Mensch can come back in. And Barry Stoneham, of course, who was a late withdrawal from the side. But that was a great mark. And the good thing about this young fella, he's prepared to play in front. He gets in front.
And if you're going to win finals football, you don't pick it out of 22 or 25. You pick it out of 27 to 29 players. And he's going to be one of them by the look of it. So Woden just accumulating on this occasion. He's helped out by Godfrey. Hand pass coming from Ward was intercepted. Corey, then King.
Might get another one.
King towards full forward. No, this time the mark is taken by his opponent. So he finishes off on a good note there, young Simmons. Credit to Baldwin, who kicked 3 last quarter goals. But the final points were taken by Melbourne. 18-18, 126. Geelong, 17-6, 108. 18 points, the margin in favour of Melbourne.
Yes, what a performance by the Demons. They trail by 21 points. Jeff White and Shane Woden, 2 of the heroes for the Demons on a big day. They are 3rd on the AFL ladder.
Move.
Just, yeah, no, I know. It's amazing.
Here we go.
Well, what a performance by Melbourne. 18-18, 126 to 17-6, 108. Remarkable performance. They trailed by 21 points in the second quarter. Neitz helped bring them home with 5. Shane Woden 4 and Adam Uze 3 for the Cats. Ronnie Burns 4 goals, all in the first half.
Yeah, unbelievable, Hutto. I mean, it was a great performance by Melbourne. The midfield was outstanding. Woden was just brilliant. Liam Chally, Power particularly early in the game. And Jeff White after half-time gave his midfield every opportunity. He was brilliant.
How did you see the votes then, Dougie, for the Mitsubishi Motors Player of the Year?
I gave 1 to Jeff White after half-time. He was outstanding. I gave 2 to the skipper, David Neitz, with 10-odd marks and 5 goals. And 3 to the each-way Brownlow medal fancy, in my opinion. Shane Woden was absolutely brilliant. 35 touches and kicked 4 goals from the midfield.
Well, let's have a look at the scores from some of the other games. Port Adelaide took on Carlton today at home. And it was an important game for Port, bit of pride at the end of the year. And would you believe it, Dougie? The Blues in second place on the ladder suffered another loss. That's 3 in a row. 12-11-83. Port getting up 12-16-88.
And that's the final scores, Hutto?
That is the final scores. They are correct.
Unbelievable.
Don't adjust your set. Another match. Don't adjust your set for
They're
this one
not the
either.
final score, surely.
They are the final scores, Dougie.
Oh, gee whiz.
14-14-98 to 11-14-80. Great win by the Pies, coming home with 5 goals. Excellent performance, and that is why Melbourne are third on the ladder tonight after their win. Unbelievable, Dougie.
How can you tip the Magpies, Hutto? Fair dinkum.
Yeah, I did. I tipped
You
the
did?
Magpies. We'll take a break. I'll be back with more. It's not Dougie's day, I can tell you that. Melbourne's 10-game losing streak against Geelong comes to an end. Their first win over the Cats since '94, 18-18 to 17-6.
7 Sport hope you're enjoying this match as part of the Coca-Cola AFL Premiership Season 2000.
To the ladder and have a look at that. Melbourne up into 3rd place and should stay there if they win next week. The Demons will take on West Coast. Kangaroos losing today. Next week they meet St Kilda. The Bulldogs have a big match against Hawthorn. Geelong still in danger of going out. They play Sydney next week. Brisbane, Hawthorn, there they are. There's all the matches for next week. It's a great round, round 22, a big one on Friday night. Been a big day, Dougie. We've enjoyed your company. Bad luck on your tips. I know you haven't done too well in your tipping.
Struggled, Hutto. I missed about 4 or 5, I think.
But a great performance by Melbourne.
Great Melbourne.
It's been a great day. 75,000. We saw the plane. Hope you've enjoyed all the action. Good night.
Wear a hat, and if guests arrived without, he supplied them. In fact, he had tables laden with hats, so those forgetful guests had a choice of styles. Hirata has been making hats for Japan's designers, celebrities, and imperial family for some 50 years. As well as running his business, Hirata had for 38 years an evening school to train milliners. Now, at 75, he's decided his job is done, and it's time to close it.
Style with Elsa Clinch, Fridays and Saturdays on CNN.
This is CNN.
Venezuela's Hugo Chavez prepares for his next election challenge as the nation copes with an economy in decline. Peruvian authorities consider criminal charges linked to deadly political violence. And in the United States, one city contemplates its troubled past in race relations and prepares to make political history. And welcome to you. I'm Michael Holmes at the CNN Centre. This is World News. Polls across Venezuela are scheduled to open in about 3 hours from now. Millions of voters are expected to take part in Sunday's general elections. It is the 6th time in less than 2 years Venezuelans are heading to the polls. They will decide whether to give President Hugo Chavez another term in office. Most of the country's middle and upper classes are expected to back his main challenger, Francisco Arias Cardenas. But with the backing of the country's poor majority, Mr. Chavez is expected to win.
Shane Gould, the golden girl of the '72 Munich Olympics, is back at the place where she was showered with Olympic glory, doing it all over again. Swimming the 100 metres freestyle at the World Masters in Munich, she won her age group with ease, her time just 2.5 seconds slower than her bronze medal swim in 72 and just outside the World Masters record.
Very big event, the Masters event. It's just good to be fit, you know, at my age and be able to still swim 61.
Back in 72, Gould was unstoppable. In a blistering performance, she took 3 gold medals in world record times, a silver and a bronze. When Shane Gould left Munich in 1972, she'd achieved more than any other female swimmer in Olympic history, which is why it came as such a shock when she announced her retirement the following year at the age of just 16.
Looking back, do you regret that? Not at all, no.
Now 43, this is Gould's first international meet after more than 25 years in retirement, and she chose Munich because it holds a special place in her heart.
And the try and the joy and the disappointments, you know, so it's a little bit overwhelming.
Tomorrow, Gould's going all out for her favourite event, the 400-metre freestyle. In Munich, Germany, Mara Pritchard, 7 News.
One of the greats, but for the 38-year-old six-time world champ, it was always going to be difficult, even with a fanatical crowd to help carry him.
The adulation of the crowd, literally almost too much.
That crowd a problem for Kostya too.
They are a little concerned about the security.
When he did make it into the ring, a frosty reception. A lightning start to the fight by both men.
It's heating up already here in round 1.
But by the end of round 2, Chavez was showing his age.
Here's Chavez trying to lace him with his...
He used every trick in the book.
This is where Chavez goes very, very low.
He eventually lost a point for low blows, but it didn't matter. The Australian dominated as the fight went on.
And the jab of Zhu continues to rain terror on the face of Chavez.
Then, 46 seconds into round 6.
Oh, big right hand and down goes Chavez.
And it was only a matter of time.
It was competitive for 1 round, and since then it has not been. Costa Zhu is still champion.
And the career of Julio Cesar Chavez over. Nick McArdle, 7 News.
Continue to demonstrate if necessary. This group says the protests have already accomplished one thing. We have been able to show the whole world that the people in Peru have risen and have said, we do not want this government, we do not want to be treated like this, he said. But it is unclear if the opposition will be able to sustain its presence in the streets for a long time. Harris Whitbeck, CNN, Lima, Peru.
There are fresh hopes for peace on the Korean peninsula as landmark talks between North and South Korean ministers get underway. In their first such meeting in 12 years, the two Koreas have agreed to hold regular high-level talks. They have also agreed to reopen their liaison offices at the truce village of Panmunjom. Journalist Stella Kim gave us an update from the South Korean capital.
This is a very good start for North and South Korea ministers to meet up in South Korean soil. This is first time in 12 years. The last time they met, it was in 1988, which ended up signing and announcing the basic agreement, which also contains a reconciliation.
One of the greats, but for the 38-year-old six-time world champ, it was always going to be difficult, even with a fanatical crowd to help carry him.
The adulation of the crowd, literally almost too much.
That crowd a problem for Kostya too.
They are a little concerned about the security.
When he did make it into the ring, a frosty reception. A lightning start to the fight by both men.
It's heating up already here in round one.
But by the end of round two, Chavez was showing his age.
Here's Chavez trying to lace him with his...
He used every trick in the book.
This is where Chavez goes very, very low.
He eventually lost a point for low blows, but it didn't matter. The Australian dominated as the fight went on.
And the jab of Zhu continues to rain terror on the face of Chavez.
Then, 46 seconds into round 6.
Oh, big right hand and down goes Chavez.
And it was only a matter of time.
It was competitive for one round, and since then it has not been. Costa Zhu is still champion.
And the career of Julio Cesar Chavez over. Nick McArdle, 7 News.
If that forecast track will take it over the Hawaiian Islands late Sunday into Monday Hawaiian time, and by then it will have weakened further, in fact down then to tropical depression strength. But even so, I think we will still see, if it does follow this track, some very strong gusty winds which could potentially be damaging, and also some considerable rains in the forecast for the Hawaiian Islands. Obviously, we'll be following this really closely and keep you up to date with the very latest information. Well, into South America now, where wintertime, big time down in the south, very strong winds once again there, some rain and some snows packing across that southern tip of South America. Fog is the big problem for Buenos Aires. In fact, it's been a problem for the last few days and it will remain so. And also on the other coast here, Santiago will also have problems, I think, from very hazy conditions. Increasing cloud, though, in the forecast for Rio and also for Sao Paulo, for you there, with high pressure just out there in the Atlantic, and some heavy rains, of course, across the north. Into Europe, well, windy conditions from the Alps down into the Adriatic, very unsettled across that central and eastern area.